My 28 female, husband 33 male, confessed to me that his increased sex drive is because one of his co-workers is trying to seduce him at work, and I don't know how to process this information. Me and my husband have been married for 3 years and together for a total of 6 years. We've had our ups and downs in this relationship. We love each other so much and have or had great understanding and communications. Our sex life has always been average to above normal. I don't have a very high sex drive, and so does he. So things are pretty vanilla, however, it's satisfactory for the both of us. A month ago, my husband started to change. He started to ask for sex more. He also started to become more aggressive in sex, not the bad aggressive, but the good one. It was so out of order for us, but to be completely honest, I do enjoy this change. As a matter of fact, it started to change my own sex drive itself, and I found myself wanting him more and seeking sex with him more. During this month, we became very adventurous and daring, and our sex life went to a whole new, awesome, wonderful level. Around 2 days ago, I decided to go to my husband to surprise him at work. Something I never did before. I dressed nice, put on makeup, and went to his work. When I got there, I saw him interacting with one of his female co-workers, around my age or a little bit younger. I waited for them to finish, but I kept watching them. What I saw was her clearly trying to seduce him, and believe me, women know these things. He kept keeping his distance, and eventually the talk ended. I saw it from out of the office. Their office spaces have big glass doors. When I entered his office, he was aroused. I know his facial expressions when he gets aroused, and he was. Oh my God, he was completely aroused. He was happy with my visit and took the rest of the day off. We went and had lunch together and then went home where we had sex. At night, we were talking and I mentioned what I saw and asked him, what was that? He said that ever since she's come to the office, she's been all over him that way, and it drives him crazy. He even told HR, but apparently nothing happened because she keeps repeating this with him. He told me that nothing has, nor will it ever happen between them, and that he loves me to death. I believe him. However, reflecting back on all of this, and what he told me, he became more sexually active with me when all of that started with him. And it makes me wonder, am I not good enough for him, that he needs another woman to excite him so that he can come and have sex with me? I really don't know how to feel about all of this. In my head, he wanted me and enjoyed me. But now I know for a fact that he's horny because of another woman. I mean, what should I do now? Should I tell him how I feel? Should I stop his advances for a little bit so I can clear my head? Please, any advice would help. In the comments, CJ the Bay says, I know it's weird to wrap your head around, but your husband is rejecting her advances and has done what he can to make it stop. You even saw them and he did not reciprocate. That being said, someone hitting on you and pursuing you so hard can excite you and make you horny. This happens because she wants him and he's being forced to withstand her feelings and think about what she's trying to do. Here's the important part. When his mind is on sex, he is thinking of you. There's someone else right in front of him that's throwing herself at him, but he immediately thinks of you instead. His mind is not on his co-worker. She's forcing him to think about sex while he's at work, and so it's on his mind more often, and he ends up initiating sex with you more often. But that's it. He isn't having or wanting sex elsewhere. When he thinks about sex, you're the one on his mind. OP says, yes, I hear you, but what about the fact that he only wanted more sex because of her, not me? I mean, let's flip it. If I was the one who initiated sex more from him, and he started to like this side of me, and then he finds out the only reason behind that was that I had a male co-worker that's been hitting on me, making me horny, it wasn't him that made me horny, it was the other co-worker and his advances, how would he feel then? Would it be okay? Sick of Default Sub says, you're feeling insecure because you perceive this other person's advances to have an effect on your partner, and you feel you should have a monopoly on that effect. My counter-argument is, when was the last time you consciously tried to seduce him? His body has reacted with an increased sex drive. His brain translated this into an increased desire for you. From the outside, it seems like he has done nothing but love you and act on it. If you want a monopoly on generating the physiological response, self-reflection on how much effort you put into that versus how much a person in the throes of unrequited lust may be in order. OP says, actually, I was wrong to not include that we live in a part of the world where these things are a little different from the USA and parts of Europe. Let me clarify something as well. I live in a small town in Estonia. Here, this is without any exaggeration, if things were flipped and I was the one who got my increased sex drive because of a similar incident, he would divorce me. I'm not kidding, and I'm not over-exaggerating things. This is the exact thing that would have happened to me if the situation was reversed. However, back to your comment, I get you and understand what you're trying to say to me 100%. I think I should counterbalance that equation in order to keep him attracted to me, or have a monopoly on that as you've mentioned. Thanks. I don't know who found this post and is giving OP such insane advice. They were definitely not in their right mind when they were saying this, because it really appears that OP is the one coming for help, and OP is the only logical person in this situation. They correctly point out that, yeah, if the shoe was on the other foot, he'd be divorcing me. What is going on here? Are we in Crazy Town? This is incredibly suspicious. There's no way he's not cheating on OP. And we know that cheaters will mask their behavior by having an increased sex drive in their own relationships sometimes as well, so as not to arouse suspicion. There's a lot of things that cheaters do to cover their tracks, and I really do believe that this man is cheating on OP with this woman. And he's just showing off at this point. That just makes so much sense to me, and these commenters are so brain-dead saying these things to OP. And now, on to the update. Thanks to everyone who responded to my previous post and gave me advice. It was much appreciated. So last night, I waited to have a talk with him before bed. We had some wine, and we talked about the matter. I told him everything about how the whole situation makes me feel. To be completely honest, his answers are making me shake until now. I couldn't even sleep. He said that her advances towards him started mildly, with flirty words, etc., and then she started to come at him more aggressively, dropping hints and then touching him. He went to the HR and told them about the situation, and he and the HR laughed about it, and the HR told him that they will be documenting it in case she reciprocated badly or anything. But at the end, they took it as a laugh. After that, she became more aggressive with him, to the point that one day she brushed her breast on his back. He told me that on that day, he lost it for a little, and he and her made out in the office. He then stopped and told her he is married. After that, he lost it 3 more times, and they made out, and she even started to give him oral sex, but he tells me that he stopped her and told her to end everything, and since then, he has stopped everything with her. When he ended things, he felt guilt towards me and decided to become a better husband by becoming a better lover to me and started to have more sex with me. As I mentioned before, neither me nor him did have a high sex drive before, so he told me he was planning on being a better lover for me and having a little bit more sex. However, it turned out that I liked it and we ended up having more sex than what he planned. I asked him if he slept with her. He said no. I asked him if he visualizes her when he sleeps with me, and he didn't want to answer that at first, but ended up saying yes. He imagines himself having sex with her when he's with me. He started to apologize to me, and I asked him, how would he feel if I was in his shoes, and told him what he told me now. He said to not make a big deal of it, but I insisted to know the answer. He said he would be disgusted with me, and there's no way he would stay married to me. I didn't say anything after that. He tried to apologize to me more than once, but I really couldn't process all of this information. This morning, he texted me from work and told me he'll be staying at his parents' place for a while, so that we can both clear our heads and can move forward with our lives. I still haven't spoken to him yet, and I honestly don't know what to do, nor how to deal with the bomb that he just dropped on me last night. Anyway, I just wanted to thank everyone who has helped me and has given me advice. Thank you, and I wish you never have to experience any sadness like this in your lives. In the comments, Little Random INFP says, what you will do is only your choice. However, I would like to point out that this is cheating and that oral sex is sex, and so is making out. I say it because this wouldn't be the first time that I've heard someone say, "But we didn't have sex," just because there wasn't any penetration. To make matters worse, it happened more than once. I'm so sorry for you. Really? OP replies, I 100% agree with you on that. That's my opinion too on what happened. He cheated on me with her more than once. When told to be petty and let their HR know, OP says, I'm tempted to do so, but I don't want to cause a scene after all. I'm probably not staying with him anyway, so they can be in a real relationship once I'm gone. I just want them both very far away from me. OP's final comment, I believe that he has already slept with her. There is no coming back from that. Cheating is a deal breaker for me. And to me, making out and oral sex is just like PIV. So to me, this is over. And I'm now taking steps to file for divorce with my divorce lawyer. I think it's just insane in situations like this, where the woman is expected to make concessions for the man cheating, and that, he just loudly and proudly says, you know what, we're gonna make it through this. This is not the end of the world. But if you did this to me, it would absolutely be the end of the world. I would be absolutely disgusted if what I'm doing to you currently and what I'm saying to your face, you did the exact same thing to me. That would be the end of the world. The world would be over. I would be going absolutely nuts and dragging your name through the dirt and making sure everyone knows what a disgusting piece of shit you are. But, that didn't happen. So, let's just move on from this. You're being a bit dramatic, actually. What I did isn't that bad. Can you just forgive me already so that I can go over to her house instead of my parents' house here and spend some more time with her? That'd be really chill, wife. I don't understand the mind games that people play with themselves, where this is a version of reality that they live in. This is genuinely someone's life right now. This is many people's lives that exist. There is a double standard their partner holds them to. It really just does my head in, and I don't know how people can exist like that. I really don't. I'm glad that OP got out of this situation and realized what he was doing to her, because there have been stories where people take the cheating partner back anyway, and I don't understand either. Thanks for the story, OP. Enough of my waffling. Our next post is by user BeepBoopBopolis, and it's titled, I, female 25, need to set a boundary with my coworker, female 60, and I don't know how. So my coworker had asked me to check in on her dogs while she was away dealing with a family emergency on the other side of the country. Now she wants me to house sit and spend 2 nights at her house to watch her dogs so they aren't alone. I said yes to checking in on her dogs and told her that I'd think about staying overnight. She's a very nice lady and unfortunately doesn't have anyone else who can help her. The problem is that I'm not comfortable staying the night. I don't know the area, I've never been to her house, and I would be alone. I have CPTSD and I get very nervous in new environments, especially by myself. She's aware that I'm an anxious person and that I have PTSD. I want to tell her that I'm not comfortable without making her upset or having her assume that it's got something to do with her. She's kind of a loose cannon. I don't want to make her mad. She doesn't really have good relationships with any of our other coworkers besides me. We've been working together for 6 months-ish. She also stated before she left today that no one ever helps her, and she'd really appreciate me staying there for the 2 nights. I feel guilty for not feeling comfortable with this, and I don't know how to tell her no in a way that doesn't offend her. I really want to help out, and she's offered to pay me, which I'll not accept due to her current financial situation. I'm also worried that if I don't set a boundary now, she might start asking for more favors in the future. How do I gently set a boundary without making her upset? In the comments, just tell her that you're sorry, but you won't be able to. You can give a vague excuse like something's come up, or I forgot I had something else that night, but you don't need to provide an explanation that she's willing to accept. Pet care is her responsibility, and she should have gotten a list of emergency providers squared away far enough in advance that she doesn't need to lean on you. OP replies, I feel bad because she didn't have time to arrange for anything else. The family emergency was sudden, and she's having a hard enough time as is. I appreciate your advice. Thank you. Another commenter says, maybe try something akin to, I like and respect you, Karen, but I struggle with everyday things in my own life, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that for you. If this upsets her, then she's irrational and is clearly taking advantage of you. OP says, I like this approach. She's a really nice person, but can be a little volatile with her emotions. I guess I'm just nervous because of her responses to previous situations with other co-workers. Another commenter says, checking in on her dogs is already above and beyond a co-worker relationship, and it's really nice of you to do so. If she cannot appreciate that you're setting the limit here, it's on her, not you. If she blows up on you for respectfully turning down the house sitting, just report her to HR. But hopefully, you're just escalating this too far in your head, and in reality, she'll be fine and understanding. So I just say that you'd prefer to stick to checking in on the dogs as originally agreed. I wouldn't offer any explanation, as it'll see her trying to come up with solutions. Like if you say it's because you don't know her house or neighborhood, she'll invite you to come check it out beforehand, etc. I think just sticking to a very simply preferring check-ins is best. If she asks why, just say that's what you originally agreed to, and I would like to stick to that. OP replies, I guess I'm worried about our working relationship moving forward if I say no to staying overnight. She quite literally said no one ever helps her, and she doesn't trust anyone else. We work one-on-one in a small office, and I see her 6 to 7 days a week. To say the least, upsetting her would make for a very uncomfortable experience for me. Thank you for your advice, I really appreciate it. Another commenter says, give her the link to a pet sitting service like Rover. She can hire a dog sitter or call a kennel. You can still check on the dogs and even on the pet sitter for her if you wish, without taking on the full responsibility. Also, a simple, I already have commitments for that date is also a valid thing to say. Commitments to yourself and your mental health is still a commitment. I feel for her, I really do, but at the end of the day, you gotta put yourself first, OP. You can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, and I feel like that's what she's asking you to do in this instance. To me, it boils down to that. Life isn't all black and white, I accept that. She is financially struggling, I accept that. I feel like part of the responsibility when it comes to having your own dogs, having dependents, is being ready to be told no when people close to you, like OP, are not able to help out in emergencies like that, and responding rationally to situations being like, you know what, yes, it's not your responsibility to look after these animals, it is my responsibility to provide proper accommodation for them. I don't have any answers for her in this situation. It really does sound like she's stuck in between a rock and a hard place. There is a family emergency she has to get to now. My heart goes out to her, it truly does. But it feels like she is emotionally manipulating you to get you to do something that you don't want to do and you shouldn't have to do. And it's okay to say no to that. I feel like you're offering a very fair compromise. You're already doing enough, and the dogs will be fine. Set your boundaries, maintain them, and don't let her bully you into doing something you don't want to do. It's as simple as that. And now, on to the update. This is kind of an update to my previous post about setting a boundary with the same coworker in regard to a house and dog sitting while she was away for a family emergency. I've been working with her for almost a year. I checked in and fed her dogs daily while she was away and did not spend those nights at her house. She didn't, and still doesn't, have any local, reliable friends or family who could help her during this emergency. I did not accept the money that she tried to give me. She slipped it into my backpack after I refused the first time, and when I found it, I left it in her house after I was done feeding her dogs because she is struggling financially. It didn't feel right to accept the money. She told me that I have restored her faith in humanity, that we're basically sisters, and that if she dies, she's willing her dogs to me. I immediately said that I wouldn't be able to keep them because there's 3 of them, and I couldn't afford that kind of commitment. She basically said I'd fall in love with them and it would work itself out. I care about her and her feelings. I want the best for her. I'm worried that if she starts to think about willing me her dogs, she might consider willing me other things too. This is an assumption based on a previous situation where she changed her will for someone else, seemingly without much consideration. She's not dying, at least that I know of. I don't know how to express that our relationship has completely exceeded coworker status, which is not necessarily something I wanted or expected. I usually keep to myself at work and try not to get too close to people. A job's a job, and I don't want to feel tied to people if I want to quit in the future. We work one-on-one in a very small office. I see her nearly every day. Severing or stepping back from the relationship would 100% make things very uncomfortable for me. But how do I make sure that she doesn't or can't will me her dogs or anything else? Because I really don't want that. And now onto the next update, titled, "My coworker wants to will her dogs to me if she dies." So I didn't expect hardly any attention on the last post. I also didn't expect to make an update. After reading all the comments on the last post, I decided to let it slide and not bring it up, as it was pointed out that it's unlikely she will die before all of her dogs do. So I stopped stressing about it until this morning. She has already left for the day. We have a weird work schedule, and it's too dumb to explain, so I'm writing this while I'm not busy at work. When I first got here, she brought it up again. The conversation went something like this. She says, "I was thinking about what I said yesterday, and almost called you last night to ask, but which one of my dogs is your favorite? Which one would you prefer to inherit?" I'm assuming this was a hypothetical question. I said, "Oh gosh, I don't know. Probably the smallest dog, because we don't have much room where we live." And she says, "Really? I thought you'd choose the other slightly larger dog." I nervously laugh and say, "Well, I wouldn't be able to take any of them most likely." And she says, "Yeah, well, I'm not going to die before my dogs anyways, but I know your heart, and I know you would take all 3 of them for me." And I say, I wouldn't be able to take care of all of them." And she says, "Yeah, still, I'm not dying, but I know you would figure it out." I said, "If you died tomorrow, I would not be able to take your dogs." And she says, "I just know you would." I said, "No, honestly, I couldn't. I'd have to rehome them." And she says, "Well, that'd be for you to figure out, but I know you'd love them so much that you'd either keep them or find them good homes. And if you don't, I'll haunt you." So now I'm back to worrying. One comment on the last post mentioned that I obviously struggle with setting boundaries, which I agree with. I'm in therapy and plan on bringing this situation up to my therapist during my next session. It's not the first time my kindness has been taken advantage of. Another comment pointed out how sad the situation must be for her, which is one of the reasons I'm struggling so much with this. She has lived a very hard and traumatic life. She has almost no one to support her. She told me so much about her life, basically trauma dumping, and I truly feel for her. She's been really supportive while I've been learning this job and helps me a lot. I feel guilty for even posting any of this. I just don't know what to do at this point. She's so lonely, and she's starting to seem really invested in our relationship as friends, more so than co-workers. I try to draw lines with co-workers, but she has crossed almost all of them. Most people just leave me alone because I tend to keep to myself. For F's sake, we share a tiny office, and she pisses with the door wide open and talks to me at the same time. In the comments, "I'm sorry, I'm really empathetic, and this just broke my heart." OP says, "I'm really empathetic as well. That's why I'm struggling so much. I hate the idea of disappointing or letting her down. She has a heart of gold, and her intentions are good. She helps anyone and everyone for nothing in return and rarely receives the same kindness and help from others. I'm a good listener, for better or for worse. She vents to me every day about the things going on in her life, and I try to be supportive. I know she's lonely since her husband passed tragically 2 years ago. She's lived a very difficult life, and I feel obligated to be supportive and listen. I feel obligated to care for and be supportive of anyone who reaches out to me. Another reason I usually keep my distance while working." Opie responds to a longer comment regarding struggling on setting firm boundaries, especially when it comes to the workplace environment. "Thank you for taking the time to write this response. I do recognize that I struggle with setting boundaries, especially in work-related environments. I'm afraid of letting people down or disappointing them and the repercussions of that happening. I plan on discussing this with my therapist as well in my next session. Another commenter says, "Nobody can make you take those dogs. If she dies, just say no if anyone contacts you. No point in giving her added stress." And a final commenter says, "You don't have to say anything. If she does will you the dogs, you would have the choice to accept or not when the lawyer contacted you. If she's only 60, there's a probability she will outlive the dogs anyway, so don't give it too much thought." I think OP's instincts are correct on this one, and that she is using these dogs in order to continuously push those boundaries and try to establish more of a, I'd say, one-sided friendship. I accept that she is messed up, she has a lot of trauma, but she is trauma dumping on OP and using OP as an emotional outlet. Regardless of what she provides OP in return, in being very supportive and going out of her way to do things without expectation of anything in return in the workplace, it's not acceptable that she is trauma dumping and being so codependent on someone that's 25 years old. Like, I get the coworker friendships and everything, but she's trying to form a deep emotional connection with such a gigantic age gap, and it's obviously not a romantic one, I get that. But to me, the difference in life stages and her trying to push her way into OP's life, I'm sure it's just going to be a recipe for disaster if OP allows her to keep pushing those boundaries. Like, it's really messed up that she leaves the door open while pissing, talking to OP. That's something some married couples don't even do with each other. Doing it with a friend at their house, maybe, even that's weird, but let's escalate it. You're doing it in the workplace. There is something wrong with you when you do that. That's grossly overstepping the boundaries there. You have to learn to say no to people like this 60-year-old woman, and you have to learn to put up walls, I think. Enough so that you don't get hurt in the process. Because to me, it seems like she is conditioning OP to feel like OP has to accept helping her out in ways that OP doesn't want to help her out in the future. I'm feeling inappropriate workplace relations with the door being open, but I'm also feeling like the door is being opened to potential hostile work environment when OP says no in the future and starts enforcing boundaries. I don't know, that's my ramble. Take it as you will. I'm concerned for OP, but maybe this is a canon event. It's a learning experience on how she can really just lay down boundaries, especially for those like this woman that is intent on pushing them. Good luck, OP, and thank you for the story. My stepmom kissed my boyfriend on the mouth. My 22 female, stepmom 38 female, was drunk, but it's still crazy. My boyfriend is 26 male. We were celebrating my boyfriend's birthday. My stepmom loves to drink, and she's been drunk on many occasions. Usually she just becomes a louder and chattier version of herself. She's gotten angry drunk a few times too. Maybe what kind of drunk she becomes depends on her mood. I've never gotten drunk, and I don't drink alcohol, so maybe I'm ignorant on its effects, but I find it hard to believe that alcohol can bring this out. Please correct me if I'm misinformed. My boyfriend was sitting on a chair, but like reverse, so he had his arms crossed, resting them on the backrest, and his head was on his arms. We were watching a game on TV, and the birthday part had kind of wound down. Most of the guests were gone. I was cleaning up. My stepmom was lounging outside and smoking. I missed some of the approach, but my boyfriend said she just came up to him and she was slurring her words, and the TV was loud. So when she said something to him, he didn't catch it, so he gestured for her to come closer and say it in his ear. She leaned in and told him, "You're so handsome. Movie star eyes." He said he just smiled back up at her and kinda laughed it off. You could tell she was very drunk. The rest of it I saw for myself. He returned his attention back to the TV. She reached out and touched his chin to get him to look back at her, and then she leaned in, and my boyfriend told me she said, "Happy birthday, darling," and kissed him on the cheek, and then suddenly on the mouth. If that wasn't enough, she tried to kiss him again, on the mouth, but he pushed her face away. She laughed, and I was so shocked I was frozen. I don't even remember what I said, but I said something. I remember my boyfriend's friend said, "Did she just kiss you?" And my stepmom just laughed it off and told us, "Don't make a big deal out of it. It was an accident." She won't so much as apologize, but when she got sober, she approached me privately to tell me not to tell my dad. Am I the asshole here if I tell my dad? Or is this really just not a big deal? I don't want to cause stress for my dad, but I think this is a little too big to file away as a drunken oopsie. Her words. And just forget about it. In the comments, TurtleBlossom469 says, "She completely crossed a line with you, your boyfriend, and your father. My father is going through a divorce with a woman who is similar, drinks a lot, and is inappropriate. I caught her kissing a family friend on the lips many years ago. Now they are divorcing, I shared it with my father. He was upset because he said he suspected for years she was having affairs. I wish I'd called her out at the time. My father could have left her years ago. She's now testing you, and because of her behavior, I'd put money on the fact that she'll try to gaslight you to your dad moving forward. You run the risk of losing your relationship with him. I would sit him down with your boyfriend and with her. Say that this is uncomfortable, but you'd like to put some boundaries down. She is not to flirt, kiss, or touch your boyfriend ever again. If she puts it back to being drunk, then let her know that she needs to get some help on that if she's going to cross boundaries every time she drinks and can't control herself. Traditional trade says, alcohol can do a lot of things to you. It can make you completely lose control. However, as adults, it's our imperative to know our limits. She bears full responsibility. She assaulted your boyfriend. Thank God you witnessed, because as drunk as she seems she was, she may claim that it was your boyfriend that assaulted her since she was too drunk to consent. You absolutely tell your father. His wife likes to drink, and this is how she behaves drunk. Full Cost says, good job not drinking. It's a very good personal decision. As for your stepmom, if you're close with your dad, I would tell him. If you have a strained relationship, I would maybe think twice. Either way, she should not be around your boyfriend again until she apologizes. And OP says, our relationship is strained, but we love each other, and I'm going to take the advice here and talk to him today. He deserves to know, and also my conscience can't take it anymore. I also think it's unfair to my boyfriend if this is not made out to be serious because he was the victim. I think strained relationship or not, this is something that, he needs to know, and she needs to be put in her place. There needs to be consequences for her actions here because if nothing happens, she's going to do it again, and she's going to push those boundaries even harder. You can't hide behind the fact that, I drank so much that I was out of control. You drank so much that you were out of control, that's your fault. And knowing that she can and maybe one day would throw it back on the boyfriend and say, actually, he assaulted me because I couldn't consent. It's just disgusting how a situation like this, where she's very clearly in the wrong, can be weaponized the other way. And I think that's too dangerous to let go. And I agree with you, OP. I think it's unfair to your boyfriend if this is not made out to be serious, because yes, he was a victim, and he is the victim of this situation. He deserves some justice. And now, onto the update. So I got asked it a lot, so I'll say it here in case my comment didn't get noticed. My dad is 43 years old, so the age difference between him and my stepmom isn't super drastic. People were wondering where he was during this. He was at work. I waited until my dad was home alone. I told him what happened. We have a rocky relationship because he has poor emotional regulation. That's why my mum left him. It's getting better between us though, since both of us have been making a conscious effort to communicate calmly, so this conversation was one that I was dreading with my dad, but it went as well as it could. My dad's first response was still to be irritable and offensive. He focused his anger unfairly on my boyfriend initially. I had to make it very clear that this happened unknowingly and spontaneously as far as my boyfriend is concerned, and that he was a victim in this. I also mentioned to my dad that my stepmom told me not to tell him. My dad was too angry for words and didn't say much to me. He left the house and came back later a bit more cooled off. He made me repeat the order of events again and exactly what was said. He then said that the rest is between stepmom and him and he doesn't want me to get involved. He requested for me not to have my boyfriend over for a while. I can go to his place instead. That works out, since my boyfriend doesn't feel comfortable around my stepmom anymore. You guys speculated my stepmom has a drinking problem. She definitely does. I think it's gotten worse in the last few months. I don't know why though. I've never had any issues with my stepmom, but we're not exactly close either. In the comments, Jockster says, "Good for you for telling your dad. I'm sure that was an uncomfortable conversation, but it needed to be had. Yes, your stepmother has a drinking problem. That's the root cause of this situation. I'd keep your boyfriend away just to make sure that this doesn't happen again." And OP says, "Thank you guys for the push. I hope she gets the help she needs. But unfortunately, our relationship will never be the same because it's been a day and she still hasn't apologized to me or my boyfriend yet." Incredible Calamari says, "She may never apologize. Sounds like she's not yet actually owned that she's a drunk / possibly alcoholic. Good for you telling your dad, even though the energy between you isn't always good. Your boyfriend might have a bad dream or two about this. Drunk smoker forcing a mouth kiss on him? Ugh. I'm betting the stepmother won't apologize until she gets to step 9. Step skipper? She skipped step 9. Oh, she was riffing. She was bebopping and scatting all over me. I felt like the straight man in some horrible sketch. The kiss isn't the issue. The issue is the boyfriend's giant head stretching out stepmom's sweater." What? I'm sorry that I didn't want your rather bulbous head struggling to find its way through the neck hole of my finely knit sweater. Is this a reference I'm not getting? Regardless, I'm glad that they're all taking this as seriously as it deserves to be taken. OP's dad's defensiveness is understandable, given that it's a bit of a he said, she said situation, but I do hope he comes around and 100% supports OP when he comes to a final decision on what is happening here and what he is going to do. From his shoes, this is a really difficult situation to navigate, but props to him. He did hear OP out, and he is setting reasonable boundaries for everyone in this situation too. I don't think it's going to end well in the end. I feel like she's going to blow up because she's not willing to accept the fact that she's an alcoholic and loses control of her actions. That's my headcanon theory, but I hope it doesn't happen. I'm going to hope for the best, expect the worst. Would love to know what you guys think of this one though. Our next post is by user Acanthis169, titled, "Am I the asshole for not giving some of my wedding budget to my sister?" So my fiancée Sarah and I are planning our wedding. We got engaged 2 weeks ago, so we're not still aware of how much it'll cost, but we have a budget of about a bit over 100k. Sarah wants the best of everything and won't settle for anything cheap. We also would like to go on a month-long honeymoon to France, Italy, Greece, and Portugal. As I said, we're not aware of how expensive it'll be, but we won't be getting married for at least 2 years, so I can save more if needed. My family asked us about our plans, and they weren't happy to hear it. My mum called it wasteful and said we could use the money for something better. I asked, like what? And she said, like helping your sister. My sister's husband recently left her with 3 kids and won't pay child support. So she's struggling, and I understand this, and I'm sorry she's going through this. I try to help her sometimes by taking the kids out for dinner or something like that, but apparently it's not enough. I've already told Sarah about her budget, and she is so excited to plan our dream wedding, so I don't think it's fair to tell her that it's no longer possible. My family think I'm an asshole. In the comments, Truintone says, "The kind of people who would spend 100k on a wedding while their family members are going to a food bank are not my kind of people. Everything about this post, including Sarah, who wants the best of things and won't settle for anything cheap, is obscenely entitled and superficial. The marriage, statistically, won't last anyway. Nothing lasts forever. Life changes. OP could become paralyzed tomorrow or sustain a traumatic brain injury, leaving him unable to earn. Something tells me Sarah won't be sticking around when the for worse part happens. Whilst I think that spending $100K on a wedding is insane, this is your money. You spend it how you wish to. Your parents should direct their anger at the man who walked out on his 3 kids and won't pay child support. Why aren't they taking him to court? Not the asshole. And OP says, they are trying. I just know that this is one of those stories where if I give a long and drawn out opinion on it, someone's going to have a paragraph in the comments about why I'm a morally destroyed person. Marky, I used to be your biggest supporter, but after you gave an opinion on this story, it's apparent to me that you've gone down a twisted and dark path. At the end of the day, I realize I don't have enough information to make a sound judgment on a story like this. And please, don't take it out on me in the comments that I don't want to be a philosophy YouTuber, because we're going down paths of twisted morality here. To me, how this story is ending up is like, what is your morality? And now I need you to defend that and explain what is the morally just thing to do in this situation. And I say to that, I don't have enough information on these people. I don't want to go jumping to insane conclusions here. Maybe OP's a manipulative abuser. Maybe the parents are manipulative. Maybe the girl, the OP's sister, is the golden child and, they expect OP hand over fist to give his hard-earned money to this poor soul. OP's question is, am I the asshole for not giving some of my wedding budget to my sister? The easy answer is absolutely not an asshole, because it's your wedding, it's your choice who goes to the wedding, who doesn't go to the wedding. No one gets to make decisions on your wedding because they are giving you money or not giving you money. You should not have to give over your wedding budget to someone else that needs it because it's your wedding and that's your special day. But then you drag me into morally grey areas, and I give my first instinctual take on a situation like this, and I'm gonna get yelled at because it's like you're an imperfect person with a flawed and imperfect worldview, and you don't have all the answers, and that's why I hate you. Holy shit, if I could sit down with this family and kind of talk it out from both sides as to where everyone's coming from, maybe I could say who's an asshole or not, but there is so little information to go with here. And now, onto the update. So my parents have decided not to attend my wedding. They think it's wasteful and they won't support it. My fiancée went no contact with her own family years ago, so if none of our parents are going to attend, then what's the point of throwing a wedding? She is very upset. I told her that it's okay. If no one wants to support us, then we will elope. We're going to use our wedding budget for our honeymoon as well. This seemed to cheer her up, and she's been busy replanning our honeymoon. I told my parents that the wedding is cancelled, and they told me that I made the right decision and asked if I can help my sister now. I said no. They ruined my wedding plans, so from now on, they can't expect anything from me. I will prioritize myself because apparently no one else will. In the comments, UglyMate says, "So I gather that your sister is the golden child then? Absolutely not the asshole. Enjoy eloping, and I hope you have a fantastic honeymoon." This sister is the child in shit currently, with 3 kids and an absent father that doesn't pay child support. It's not about golden bullshit, it's simply that one of their children is currently suffering, including 3 grandchildren, and they ask their other child to help. The other child has more than the means to help. The other child has $100K to throw away on a wedding. The type of person that helps their siblings versus the type of person that would prefer to instead spend the money on a party. Tangerine Android says, OP has commented elsewhere that they've already given their sister $7,000 in the past 6 months. Sleepy Snorlax 88 says, there is a balance. That alone is how we end up living in a world full of assholes. You can't always get your way. Healthy relationships require give and take. What kids should be taught is helping others and being generous is good, but you don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. You need to take care of your health, mental health included, before helping others, just like the oxygen masks on the plane. You're allowed to ask, but healthy relationships respect boundaries and the word no. And it's comments like OP giving the sister $7,000 in the past 6 months that make me say, I need more information. I need to know more about what's going on between everyone here. Is $7,000 in the past 6 months and routinely taking the kids out to eat and taking them out of that household so they can get some, well-needed space away from that situation, is that not enough? Does OP need to give more than $7,000? I don't know. I'm not in this situation. I've not been faced with it. But I know that I'm in the position to help my family out financially, and I do help them out, especially in emergencies. Or when it's just my time, my presence, maybe transportation is needed, I'm more than happy to help my family out. But I can't, in good conscience, come down on OP in this instance because I don't know the full scope of the situation here. It's tough. Life is tough. All I'm going to say is good luck, OP. This situation sounds immense. That sounds like a really hard one, but it would be much easier if this asshole was just paying child support to the family that he abandoned and walked out on. We should be yelling at him, not exactly OP in this situation, I don't feel like. Our next post is by user YouCatfishedMe99, and it's titled, My girlfriend, 24 female, basically catfished me, 28 male, to see if I would cheat. I'm furious and I don't know if this is grounds for breaking up or not. Me and Samantha have been together for 4.5 years. We live together and have a generally great life and are very happy together. I did, however, just find out that she's been essentially catfishing me for at least 2 of these years. She's made an account on Instagram, which she proceeded to use to follow me and try to DM me as this catfish. And the same with Facebook. 2 different women's photos, but both are Samantha. I found out from her best friend who told me in private and said she's been doing this for 2 years and can even show me the real woman. She said she did it to see if I'd ever be unfaithful, but 2 years? I'm unsure what to do from here on out. She doesn't know that I know yet, and I don't know when and how to bring it up. I'm honestly furious. I've been great to this girl for 4 years, and I wouldn't hurt her, but she obviously still doesn't trust me, and has basically had a whole made-up life as someone else trying to get with me. What would you do in this situation? In the comments, Uncle Drew Crew says, You really didn't explain what these accounts have done. Was it just a friend request from these accounts that you've never accepted and never got messages from? Were you fucking talking to these accounts for 2 years? What's going on here? You say 2 years, but there's no way she was actively messaging you from these 2 accounts for 2 years without you engaging in the conversation. Why wouldn't you just block a random stranger that kept bothering you? Question. Why would this so-called best friend suddenly tell you now after 2 years? That in itself seems odd and is a bit fishy. Are you sure it's not the best friend catfishing you? Is she telling the truth about the length of time? I'm not saying your girlfriend didn't necessarily do it, but why are you blindly believing her friend? Did she actually give you irrefutable proof that it was your girlfriend doing it? You absolutely need to talk to your girlfriend about this before you even decide whether or not you're going to break up with her. You, at the moment, have no idea if this information is even true and how much of an idiot you would feel like if it turns out this best friend was tricking you. Just do your homework before you place all the blame. Oh god, thank god we have comments like this after my latest waffle session. Waffle marathon. Let's get some more information before I start jumping to the nuclear option. Before I start going Reddit scorched earth and saying, hey, burn that relationship to the ground. She's a psychopathic arsehole and she deserves the worst. Come on, OP. Let me get a bit more information for this one before I press the red button. And now, onto the update. So I'll answer some questions I remember being asked, and in bold will be the actual update. So, after posting that originally, I honestly went with the first few responses and decided to just confront her. A lot of people were asking me how I know that it isn't the best friend, or to make sure that it isn't her first. Which is understandable, but I know this woman, and she's happily married and a mother of 4. I've known her forever, so I had no reason to believe that she would lie or to believe that she would be doing the catfishing. And also, she told me that my girlfriend told her about it to get the secret out to someone that she could trust, but that she felt I deserved the truth, and my girlfriend wasn't even totally honest with her either. I was also asked multiple times about the 2 women my girlfriend used to catfish me with, and why I talked to them for so long. I am a social worker, and she kinda used it against me and pretended to be women that were in need of help or were in abusive relationships. And I work with this one on the daily, so it was no surprise to me to have them contact me, as I'm very public and open with my job. Never once was I inappropriate with these women. In fact, I actively talked about my girlfriend very positively, especially if they were going toward trying to flirt with me or be inappropriate towards me. So for the update, I confronted my girl, and she broke down immediately, not admitting anything at first, but just crying without saying anything. She then told me to please not be angry, but that 2 years ago she met a guy at work, they immediately fell in love, and she knew that she wanted to be with him. She said they slept together and spent time together while I was away or while I was working. She decided to catfish me to cheat on her so she wouldn't be seen as a cheater who left her boyfriend for no real reason. She told me she didn't think that it would take long and that I'd fall for something, and I never did. She admitted that it wasn't even just those 2 women, and she even tried to get her new man to help out to somehow make me unfaithful. Her best friend told her that I got an engagement ring and was planning to propose, which apparently freaked my girl out because she absolutely didn't want to marry me and then be stuck. So I'm 99% sure she told her friend about the catfishing, hoping she'd come back to me with the newfound news and that I would end it. If that's the case, she got her wish. She's in the process of moving out her things, and although I'm staying calm, I'm extremely hurt by her actions and hurt that she betrayed me. So for now, I'll stay single and focus on my work, and in the future, I'll have an amazing girl to give this engagement ring to. And until then, I'll be healing, I guess. I want to thank everyone who responded and offered advice, and also apologize for taking so long and not answering questions. My job is very demanding, and I didn't expect much advice anyway. In the comments, Lonnie Lee 3 says, "This is about the weirdest thing that I've heard. Your girlfriend's avoidant tricks trying to get you to cheat? But good luck on your life free of her. One piece of advice: sell the ring. Don't give any future fiancé a ring that you bought for a cheater." And OP says, "Thanks. I'll definitely take that advice and do that." She was cheating on you for half of your relationship, and in all that time couldn't find a way to break it off with you other than to mess with you. Words can't express how abhorrent she is. Congratulations on moving into a much better phase of your life. More bizarre is that the other guy stayed with her for 2 years, waiting for the OP to break up with his girlfriend so they could be together. What the hell? If the other guy is sleazy enough to cheat and help frame OP as a cheater, he's probably the type of dude to enjoy the last 2 years as less of a relationship and more of a friends with benefits. He can talk to her and have sex with her when he wants, but it's hard for her to actively have a relationship with him while hiding it. I bet he breaks up with her in the next 6 months. She's gonna be so surprised when her new fling cheats on her. They tend to flock together. It makes sense when you use a bit of logic. Faithful people would not want to date someone in a relationship, as faithful people expect that the other person is also faithful to them. But dating someone who is in a relationship while dating them is concrete proof that they cheated at least once. People who date cheaters are the same people who also cheat, don't care about cheating, or are delusional. Yeah, honestly, good luck to her. I really hope that that relationship that she has monkey branched to works out for her. Glad we got some more information on this one personally, and I can confidently say that she's a piece of shit, a flaming pile of garbage. I hope that she steps on Lego bricks every time she wakes up in the morning. If I was OP, I'd be pretty devastated by this, because he was planning to get engaged to her, and it just got absolutely destroyed. I can imagine that's going to take some time to move forward from, it's going to take a while to process all that. I'm so sorry that she did that to you, OP. You do deserve better. She is trash, and I know you'll find someone that is perfect for you. Thank you for this story. I'm 22 years old, and my roommates, who are both in their 20s and men of 3 months, have told me that I'm not allowed guests staying overnight, mostly men. So I've been living with my roommates for 3 months now. I knew them for about a year before moving in, and I thought they were pretty cool, but I don't know now. They've known each other for years, since high school. Anyway, in the first month I brought someone home from town, and he ended up staying the night. One of my roommates saw him leave in the morning, and he told the other one, and they kinda gave me shit for a while, but eventually they got over it, or so I thought. The next time I had a friend, who was a girl, stay over for the night, and we watched movies. I asked if I could have her over, and they both said that it's fine, but complained afterwards that we had made too much noise, and that they didn't want that friend over again, night or day, because she laughed too loudly. Well, she does, but banning someone from the house because of laughing? I said fine, whatever, and we've done movie nights at her place ever since. I've recently been seeing this guy though for about a month, and he's stayed over 3 times since then. The first night they thought that it was a one-night stand thing again, and they gave me shit. The second night they seemed kind of annoyed, and one of them said that we had been using the bathroom too much. His room is right next to it. I didn't think we had, but I said okay, but they didn't say that I couldn't bring him over again. The third night, they told me he wasn't allowed over again because it was their place and he used the bathroom too much and they could hear us having sex all night. We had sex once and it was in the morning, so I don't really know what they were hearing. Also, he only used the bathroom once, and I told him to be really quiet, and he was. But they said they don't want me bringing people over anymore, and that I can go to the person's house if I'm gonna keep doing it. I can get if it was like for safety, like if I was bringing random guys into the house, but for friends and a guy that I've been seeing? There's another flatmate who's a girl, who was always at her boyfriend's. But she was there one night and said that she didn't hear anything, and she is right next to my room. So I think they may be making shit up. They bring guys over and play Xbox till like 3 in the morning, and their friends pass out on the couch. I'm getting pretty annoyed with all the hypocrisy. I would move, but I can't afford to move out right now or live on my own. But are they being reasonable? Am I being a bad roommate? I was way worse with my other flatmate. I brought home guys all the time, and no one ever complained. How can I go about making them more okay with me having people over? Or do I just have to deal with it? In the comments, SaveMeBarry67 says, "You haven't really given enough info to say for sure, but I'm gonna guess that it's jealousy. They just gave you shit at first because that's what guys do when they're mildly jealous sometimes. I've felt for a long time that slut-shaming is often rooted in jealousy. But then you started bringing the same guy around, so they ramped it up. Obviously, they don't follow their own rule, so you don't have to either. You could tell them that you'll stop having people over when they do, but that might start a feud of some sort. I would just tell them to mind their own business. I totally understand that confrontations like this are extremely uncomfortable, but if you want any chance of them getting to stop their bullshit, you'll have to persevere." OP replies, "I don't think it's jealousy. We knew each other beforehand, and neither of them have ever indicated any interest like that before. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep doing it, and if they say anything, just point out that they bring people over, and it's my place too. I wasn't sure if it was a standard thing, since I've only lived with one other group of roommates." HX Cheo replies to OP, "I think perhaps you're confusing jealousy with envy. It may not come from a place of desire. It could simply be a case of not wanting anyone else to have what they can't." I'm inclined to agree with the parent comment on this one. The only reason in my mind that an adult male gets uncomfortable when an adult female he knows is sexually active is jealousy. Seeing your beau leave in the morning is probably triggering them. Could also be an alpha thing. It's their house, no unfamiliar men on their turf, etc. You keep doing you, girl." OP replies, "Haha, maybe actually. Neither of them have brought anyone home, so it could be that. Not my problem though. All these comments have got me just waiting for them to say something now." Sissy Jones says, "Go by whatever the lease says. You pay to live there just like they do. As long as none of the people you invite over decide to move in suddenly, you're fine." OP replies, "Nothing about it in the lease, but since I have to live with them for at least a couple more months, do I just say that I'm gonna keep doing it and deal with it? Or is there some way that I can do it so they don't get pissed off?" Sissy Jones replies, "How about you stop bringing people over when they stop playing video games until 3 and having friends crash on the couch? Sound like a good compromise? It won't to them because they're hypocrites who think they can bully you. Pro tip, don't let them. They are being unreasonable and you know it. The lease doesn't say shit and your guests aren't staying for more than one night. If they try to go to the landlord, have your female roommate back you up. You're paying to live in a space, so you have the right to enjoy it in a reasonable manner. These are the moments that either make you a doormat or give you a spine of steel." OP says, "I really don't mind the video game since I'm usually awake anyway, but if I had been trying to sleep, it would definitely keep me up. I'll bring this up if I have him over again and they say something. I usually don't like confrontation, but I really don't like the idea of not being able to do what I like in my own home, so just gotta bite the bullet and do it. Thanks." BoredBoy33 replies to OP, "It's not about what you mind or are okay with putting up with. Fair is fair, and they are being hypocritical jerks. Do what you want, just don't be an asshole about it. And if they give you shit, tell them that they invite people over and you're just doing what they are doing as a roommate that is paying rent to live there." OP says, "Will do. I'm really glad people don't think that I'm being unreasonable though. Thanks for the advice." This is an appropriate situation for the term gaslighting. Can we please just agree with that? The roommates are doing something hypocritical and they are going against OP's version of reality because it is okay for them to have roommates over, but not okay for OP. And they're saying that OP is the crazy asshole one for doing so. I think that fits the bill for gaslighting, guys. "Oh, you're crazy for thinking you can have this guy over more than 2 times. Huh. Not in this reality, buddy." I don't know, maybe I'm gaslighting myself. Regardless, it's sad that OP has convinced themselves that OP's actions here are inconsiderate and unacceptable. These bullies that she lives with have been so effective at breaking her down that she recognizes that there is an obvious double standard here, but still thinks that she is in the wrong and needs so much backup. And I applaud her for going to get that backup, for getting a second opinion. Absolutely, that's what Reddit is here for. But it's just sad that they're able to beat her down so much like this. They are terrible, jealous people. To me, I don't think there really is any other place that these actions and words from these men could come from, if not from jealousy. They sound insufferable, and I'd be wanting to move out as soon as I can, personally. But yeah, for now, stick up for yourself and lay down those boundaries and make sure that you can keep having your boyfriend over, OP. Don't let them get away with stomping all over you. And now, onto the update. I honestly cannot believe how quickly things escalated, and I'm sorry for not updating sooner, but I've been ridiculously stressed and busy with what happened. So following the advice posted, I continued bringing over my now boyfriend and ignoring them if they bitched about it. Things came to a huge head last weekend, and I've spent the last week dealing with the fallout. Last Saturday, he came over, and we were going to have an early night so we could do some hiking in the morning. The roommates were drinking with their friends playing Xbox, making loads of noise, so I went out and asked that they could keep it down. I honestly thought they were fine, and me and him were able to sleep until about 4 a.m. when one of them burst into our room with an effing baseball bat and started smashing shit. Oh, they're crazy. Hello, bring police. He was screaming about how I had embarrassed him in front of his friends when I didn't have the decency to shut up, calling me a slut and a whore. I thought he was going to kill me, but my boyfriend jumped up and started trying to restrain him. The other roommate ran in and started helping. My boyfriend got smacked in the nose, and blood was running everywhere. I was on the phone with the police by this point. They came and he was arrested. My boyfriend had to go to the hospital. Tim had broken his nose, and about $350 worth of damage was done to my belongings. The other roommate has not stopped apologizing to me non-stop about how he didn't realize that the crazy roommate was that bad, and he was just trying to back up an old friend, but he said my boyfriend is welcome anytime. Me and my boyfriend both have a restraining order against crazy roommates, and the police came with him as he moved out all his shit. And we've gotten the locks changed. I'm still looking at moving out as soon as possible, and am staying most nights at my boyfriend's. I'm struggling to sleep because I'm sure someone is going to burst into the room. I can't believe I could misjudge someone so much. In the comments, a deleted commenter says, "Don't blame yourself for misjudging your former roommate. I don't think anyone could have seen that coming. Seeing your other roommate also seemed quite shocked. You're probably right. Yeah, especially since the other roommate had known the guy for a long time. He was 100% into her, in addition to being a nutjob." Reading that was terrifying, because at one point I was at my high school boyfriend's house with several of our mutual friends, all playing video games, and he took me upstairs and shredded me about embarrassing him in front of his friends because one of our mutual friends had a stiff neck and I rubbed it. Like literally so platonic. Guess who turned out to be a jealous, abusive shit? Oh, that dude definitely had a thing for her. Christ, I hope she never had to see him again. Absolutely. Crazy roommate dude was laying on the rules and complaints on her in an attempt to control her, forgetting that she also pays rent. Then he tells some fib about him and OP to his friends, and then loses the remaining marbles in his head when OP brings her boyfriend with her. He sounds like he should still be supervised by his family after that. Just another one of these precautionary tales to put out in the world to be like, hey, if you have roommates that start acting like this, here is a potential scenario that can go down. All this subtle controlling behavior where they start restricting things and you pushing back against it and having a spine can lead to some people losing what is left of their marbles and smashing shit in your room with a baseball bat. What a fun world we live in. I just love that that's a possibility, you know? I sign a rental agreement and who knows what fun kind of wacky adventure I'm signing up for when I live with people that I don't know. Or even in this instance, OP had known them for a year. She still had a fun wacky adventure. That's crazy. I hope he stays well away from her after all of this. A restraining order is definitely the first step to that. Thank you for the story, OP. I genuinely hope you stay safe after this. All the best. Our next post is by user ThrowRA Halloween Dread, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my mum that it wasn't cute or funny to dress me as a hot dog instead of a princess?" So there's this new Target commercial going around where a little girl dresses as a hot dog, and it came on while my family was watching a scary movie. I, 20 female, am home from college for the weekend and brought my boyfriend. And my mother, 57 female, decided that it would be hilarious to mention that she had made me a hot dog costume as a kid, except, in the way that she was telling the story, she framed it like it was my request. She said that all the girls wanted to be Disney princesses, but that I had asked to be a hot dog, and so she had gone out of her way to make me that costume. This is not what happened, and I said as much. What actually happened is that I wanted to be Snow White and had told everyone, including the teachers, that I was going to be Snow White. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid, to the point where I would actually get invested in doing chores because I was cleaning up just like Snow White. My dad and I would watch that movie all the time, and I was very excited to be Snow White for Halloween, especially because my ballet studio was doing a special princess dance for Halloween, and we had all signed up for special princess slots. And I'd shown up early with my dad the week before so that I could get to be Snow White. Oh boy, I love a bit of childhood trauma early in the morning. My mother decided that she wanted to be quirky, and that Snow White was a bad role model after I got in trouble for trying to cook dinner for my family. I was about 8, and I tried to make hot dogs like how she made food for the dwarves in the movies, and I made a mess. My mum surprised me on the day with this crappy hot dog suit, and told me that if I didn't wear it, she'd never let me watch Snow White ever again. She took a million pictures, the other girls teased me for months, and it was one of the most humiliating moments of my childhood. I told the real story and mentioned that I got through the day by pretending that she was the evil queen making me dress in rags, but that the rags happened to be a garbage meat costume. She got really quiet after that, and after we left, my brother says that she was crying and looking at the pictures from that Halloween. I didn't want to make my mum cry, but it's a shitty memory for me, and it felt like she was trying to humiliate me all over again in front of my boyfriend. In the comments, not the asshole. Wow. What a shit move by your mum and to an 8-year-old. I'm glad you told the truth and stood up for yourself. I hope she learns. Jeez, what a witch. I'm sorry that happened. And OP says, I hadn't thought about it in ages until I saw that commercial, honestly. I'd say let it go, but that would be so hypocritical of me. Instead, make peace with your hot dog costume, but remember your mum for whitewashing the memory. My mum has a version of my childhood that did not happen, at all. In my mum's version, it was all snowflakes, hugs, puppies, and unicorns, and that's not the reality that I lived. I've since let it go as that's what she needs to remember, and that's okay. It's not reality, but it's okay that she wants to remember it that way. It doesn't change what really happened, and if she needs to remember it that way, that's fine. I don't let it impact me. That said, I do get the absolute outrage for that's fucking not what happened. I just shrug and let it go because I decided that I don't care. And OP says, in my mum's version, I hated the other girls in town as much as she hated the other women and wanted to be a weird kid because she wanted to be a weird mum who doesn't like housework or makeup or dresses. I learned makeup from a friend's mum. I learned basic house skills from YouTube, and I never had clothes that I actually liked unless I asked non-her relatives for them for Christmas or my birthday. It sucked. To a deleted commenter, OP says, it was honestly one of the worst memories of my childhood, which I'm well aware means that I had a pretty good childhood overall. It just still makes me feel like I'm this gross waddling thing that can never be pretty or delicate or worthy when I think about it. Like I'm just gross and forced to watch everyone else be special and lovely. Not the asshole. She clearly had a different perspective and you set her straight. Just because someone cries doesn't mean they're the victim in this. Especially if the truth is that not only did you not want to wear the hot dog, but she threatened your favorite movie as a result. OP says she hated Snow White and Cinderella and Aurora. She was kind of okay with Belle and really pushed Mulan and Merida on me, but those weren't the ones that I was interested in. She generally hated everything that I liked and was really into the whole Cinderella ate my daughter thing. She wanted us to be allies against the other mums of the town that we lived in, and I just wanted her to be like the other mums, honestly, because they were nicer. That's such an odd thing to put onto a child. I wonder if this is but one of many stories where she tried to mold you a certain way and completely disregarded your own feelings. OP says, she wanted a different kind of kid than I was. It got a little better once I hit high school and she turned her focus on my brother and finally let me try out for cheerleading instead of basketball. But middle school and before, she was constantly trying to mold me into some kind of counterculture girl who she could say was so much smarter and better than the other girls. It made it hard to make friends, and once I had those friends, it felt like she was sabotaging it constantly because she thought that they were beneath me for having the same interests that I had. What was her deal with the other mums? Did they reject her or did she just look down on them for some reason? It's gross that she made her issues your issues too. Not the asshole. OP says, apparently she was bullied a lot in school or something and wanted me to grow up daring to be different or something. Not the asshole, OP, but keep this lesson in mind with your own kids. And OP says, when I have daughters, they're actually going to be raised like women and princesses and things that are nice and made for them. I'm not about to pull that sort of thing with my own kids. I get why OP was downvoted for that last comment because it's like, okay, OP, learn the lesson, don't put your kids into a box. And OP's immediate response is, when I have daughters, I'm going to put them in a box. They're going to be raised like women and princesses. I get that, but I feel like there's a bit more nuance to it because they said, I'm going to do things that are nice and made for them. I'm not about to pull that own thing with my own kids. That to me says she knows not to put the kids in a box. If she has some childhood trauma from some of the things that happened in her childhood, she knows better. Like, come on, I don't think she's going to repeat the cycle. I'll be honest, I just deleted a 3-minute rant about my disdain for OP's mother. I don't know, sometimes I overshare, I get too emotional. It is what it is. I'm a passionate kind of guy. Like, can you blame me for being passionate? This is what I do for a living. I will say, I hate it when people whitewash your traumas. I really hate when that happens because they just choose to forget about the effects that their actions had on you, and they don't face consequences for that. I am always going to be a big fan of actions having consequences, because in this instance, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. I think that's very reminiscent of what is going on in this situation. I don't blame OP for feeling the way they feel. In fact, I support what they have done in this instance and how they reacted to their mother's whitewashing of the situation. Now from here, I think you talk to each other, you have more conversations, and you find a place of reconciliation together and, mutual understanding. Your mother doesn't sound like an inherently bad person. She just sounds like she's built different. Everyone's built different, but she sounds like she was built vastly different to you. Nothing wrong with that. You can still have an amicable and positive relationship with her. So you're not the asshole, and I think, there is the possibility for a happy ending here. And now, on to the update. Hi everyone. First off, I wanted to give a big thank you to all the people who reached out with kindness back in October. I was struggling a lot with whether I'd done the right thing, and getting such an overwhelming consensus definitely helped me feel better. There wasn't actually that much fallout from the whole situation, and I kind of forgot about it for a few months. My mum was a little awkward for the next few times we saw each other, but that was all back to normal by Christmas. It didn't destroy our relationship, and I realized that a lot of my fears were just anxiety and overthinking clouding my mind. My brother made a few snide remarks, but I didn't get or give an apology, and I figured that was that. However, last weekend, my mum picked me up from work and took me to her place, saying that she had a surprise and I should shower and do my hair fancy. She had all the nicest skincare and hair stuff laid out, which means a lot because she's never been into that stuff. And when I was done, she surprised me with the most gorgeous Snow White dress I've ever seen. It's genuinely stunning quality, and I couldn't believe that it was actually for me. She was all dressed up as the Wicked Queen too, with a cowl and everything, and she took me to see the new Snow White movie together. When I tell you I almost cried, I'm not exaggerating. It was one of the best days that I've ever had with her, and I felt like a legit princess. When little girls came up and asked for pictures, I swear I've never enjoyed anything that much. I might actually try and get a job as a party princess if I can swing it, just because of how great this experience was. After the movie, which, by the way, is better than most people are saying, I hated the new love interest, but Rachel killed it. She apologized for not taking my feelings into consideration when I was younger, and explained that she has always wanted me to feel like I could be anyone I wanted to be and didn't have to conform. But what she did ended up being a form of formed confirmation itself, and if I want to be a princess, she's gonna do her best to help me feel like the best princess in the world. She did explain that the hot dog costume wasn't meant to be a punishment. She honestly thought that I would think it was funny, but that she should never have gone that far without making sure I liked it, and she didn't actually ever intend to take Snow White away. I believe this. She seems truly apologetic, and I told her that she is 200% forgiven. So things are good. I'm glad that I spoke up when I did, and I think my mum and I are going to be closer now, honestly. She's a good person, and I'm really grateful to have a mother like her. Thank you. In the comments, "Aw, this is such a wholesome update. I'm genuinely happy for you. Honestly, it's so cute to see how your mum came through with the Snow White dress after all of that. Props to her for realizing where she went wrong and putting in the effort to make it up in such a sweet way. It's like the redemption arc that we all need. And wow, the way you've gone from hot dog costume trauma to actual princess vibes? I'm loving the glow up. Honestly, it sounds like you're going to be a top-tier party princess if you decide to go for it." And OP says, "I'm genuinely thinking about it." Yay to your mum. My goodness, she's done some work there thinking about all of that and planning how to apologize. She must love you very, very much. I'm so pleased that it worked out well. And OP says, she does. She isn't perfect, but she genuinely does try her best, and I love her for it. Having your mum be your first bully sucks, and I'm glad she realized her mistakes. You can be whoever you want, honey. Wait, not like that. Being a girly girl is just as valid as being bookish or a tomboy. Yikes. What sucks is OP seems kinda the same way. She commented about her daughter, if she had one, would be raised to be like a princess and things that are made for them. If her daughter ends up being a weird, quirky tomboy hot dog costume loving gal, I think OP would try to force her to be girly and princessy. Again, we're basing that off of one comment that she made. And I know that I am guilty of doing the same thing hundreds of times here. I get it, but in this situation, I feel like it's different. I don't understand how we can get this whole saga of OP being like, here are my childhood traumas. This really messed me up. I wasn't allowed to be the person I wanted to be when my mother, said that I can be whoever I want to be. I'm quirky, I'm different, but not in that way. And that messed me up. But then they see that one comment and they're like, oh, OP's no different. She hasn't learnt her lesson. It's very weird to me that people can see one sentence and read so much into it, but that is the internet, I guess. My vibes, my intuition, tell me that if and when OP has a daughter, she will not be repeating the same mistakes. I think this is a very good update. Thank you, OP, for coming back, and thank you, OP's mother, for seeing what you did wrong and making up for it in the best way possible. Our next post is by user SaltyPension300, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for trashing the gift my girlfriend got me? So me, 28 male, and my girlfriend, 30 female, have been together for 8 years, and we've been living together for 4 years. My girlfriend has always been the artsy type, and always has some personal project going on, but she has the tendency to get lost in her own world. We celebrated my birthday last weekend, and she ended up getting me a pencil lengthier. I don't use pencils, and the lengthier in question didn't even fit your typical number 2. It was purely for colored pencils. I also don't color. When she asked me if I liked it, I just quietly walked outside our home and tossed it in the trash. Why would you do that? Not even a discussion first? Not even like, babe, can we talk about this? What? She was understandably upset and called me an asshole for doing that, claiming that I could have at least tried it. Here's the thing. She's been doing things like this ever since we started living together. She's been gifting me things that she likes, and ultimately she ends up using them. For example, last year she got a packet of Sailor Moon stickers. I don't watch Sailor Moon, and she ended up using them all. She also gifted me a jewelry box one time. I don't wear jewelry, so guess who's been using it all this time? First world problems at its finest. Let's shift your perspective here, OP. Lack of her showing a care for you problems at its finest. That's what I'm seeing. So it's been a few days, and she's still upset, and has even gotten both of our parents to berate me for trashing the gift. She even admitted that she knew that I would hate it, and was planning on using it after I calmed down in a few days. A detail that she did share with others, but I'm still getting name-called. Am I really the asshole? Edit. Nearly every comment says we need to talk about this. The thing is, we have, and more than once. She admitted she does this because she wants something, but decides to gift it to me to say I tried. I asked if I gave her a wish list, would that help, and she said that she would never look at it, and well, she didn't when I made one and sent one to her. She, on the other hand, does have a wish list which I do get her stuff from, and some of that stuff is actually expensive. In the comments, everyone sucks here. Walking out and trashing it like a drama queen makes you an asshole. She's also an asshole for giving you stuff that she knows you won't use. You're meant to talk about your feelings and about your expectations, not act like you acted here. OP says, I wouldn't say I'm a drama queen. I didn't yell or scream or anything. I just had a disappointed look on my face, and she just pieced together what I had done. I literally didn't say anything during the ordeal. I promise I'm not beating on men, I promise, but OP's acting like, well, I don't act like how they act in RuPaul's Drag Race, so I'm not a drama queen, alright? I'm not the queen of drama. That's so funny to me. Everyone sucks here. But you should have directly talked to her about this way beforehand if it's something that you say she does constantly. OP says, "Actually, I have. We've had many talks about this. She does this on purpose because she wants a certain something and decides to gift it to me so she can say I tried." I've already read that, yada yada. Everyone sucks here. I have to ask, do you ever get her gifts? And OP says, "Yes, I do. I actually go over the top with her gifts. She wanted a Nintendo Switch, I got her a Switch, and she legit played it until she got carpal tunnel. Still uses the cast once in a while." Honestly, if you've been with this person for 8 years, and they still act like this and it's only just becoming a problem now, I really feel like this is not the only problem in your relationship. I would understand if this was like 6 months to 1 year into the relationship. You're still kind of vibing with this person. You're still figuring them out. No, you've nearly been with this woman for a decade, OP. She should know better. She has had time for her prefrontal cortex to develop. The mysteries of the universe have been unlocked, and suddenly I'm an adult now at the ripe old age of 25 years old when that develops. Wow. But this goes beyond just a few mistakes or an accidental slip-up. I think this is an impasse. To me, this seems to be like a core personality trait of her where, unfortunately, you might find you are fundamentally incompatible with this person. The idea of her in your head is more compatible than the reality that it lies in front of you. And you've been able to forgive it for so long and ignore it and move on from it. But resentment builds up over time. What she's doing here is incredibly selfish and self-centered. And she continues to do it. She continues to browbeat and say, "Oh, it's actually not that bad. I'm not actually going to get you anything on your wish list. I don't even care about you. I don't care about your wish list. I'm not even going to look at it. I'm not going to buy you anything because I don't care about getting anything for you." How do you see this person in front of you and say, yeah, this is someone that I want to stay in a relationship with for the long term because this is definitely something they're going to change? I'm going to say it again. You've been with this person for 8 years. This is how they've been that entire time. This is them. They're not going to change. And if they do, it's going to take so much work. And do you really think that she is willing to do that? Do you genuinely think she's willing to put in the work? I don't believe so. I think try everything with her to break through with her and be like, this needs to change so that we can be a functional couple and work together as a unit. But I believe in my heart of hearts that this relationship is not going to work out because of this. I think there's an everyone sucks here judgment for you trashing the gift like that. I think that was wrong of you to do it in that way. But I think if we're to assign blame to someone who has done wrong, or the most wrong in this instance, she has done so much worse than you have here. And now, onto the update. So I wasn't expecting this much attention. I want to thank everyone for commenting and giving advice. Sorry I couldn't get to you all. I wasn't expecting to make an update, but there's been a development. Before that, I want to address a few things. Many commenters said that my girlfriend is a narcissist or has some personality disorder. Probably should have mentioned this before, but she has ADHD, which she is medicated for, so she's always been pretty scatterbrained. However, it did get noticeably worse when we moved in together, such as blowing plans because she either forgot completely, or forgot the part where we agreed on them, or completely forgetting to do any errands or chores because she is just so invested into something, usually an art project. That doesn't change anything, actually. If anything, that makes her sound worse, OP. There was one comment that resonated with me that said that I must have been conditioned to accept this kind of behavior. That is inaccurate. My parents always instilled into me to be grateful and to be happy for getting anything at all because they got nothing when they were younger. If I got a sack of shit as a gift, I was expected to dance like a happy prospector if this at all explains my tolerant/doormat behavior. And now onto the update. Despite using a throwaway account, my girlfriend still found the post. She was very miffed by the responses and tried to vent to her friends, but they weren't on her side. She then decided to show the post to her and my siblings, and they wanted to know if it was true. And when confirmed, they all yelled at her, and they got our respective parents to calm down and stop talking about it. She came to me over the weekend, and after talking about it since then, we kinda worked over several things. She recognized that she really did screw up, and as an apology, she gave me this cool dragon diffuser that I've been wanting for a while, and a box of all the stuff that I was gifted, telling me that I may do whatever I please with them. She's also open to not receiving gifts for the next couple of special occasions, which I will be doing. So when it came down to her selfish gift giving, apparently what she meant by "I tried" was her forgetting about these occasions up until the last minute and not wanting to admit it. She hastily gets them off of Amazon from whatever shows up first on her homepage and just hopes that I'll like them enough to not say anything negatively, and she uses them when I won't. She refused to look at my wish list because gifts should be a surprise, but when I brought up her list, she had no answer. She said she will look at mine from now on. I don't think this is a deal breaker, but it does need to end, and well, most of you were right. There were other issues. We've agreed to therapy, single and couples, which she will pay for. This may not be what you were expecting, but I think it's a good start. And now onto the new updates. The first one, I broke up with my girlfriend of 8 years. I'm having a hard time processing it. So me and my girlfriend of 8 years split up about 2 weeks ago. We were having issues, see post history, and decided to go to therapy to work it out. After the very first session, I realized that I don't want to work on this relationship anymore. It was just much more trouble than it was worth. So I broke up with her. Lots of crying on her end, but she seemed to accept it. She has already moved out of our house and agreed that I may keep it since I have no family in our state. Things haven't exactly been well since then. Her parents, who have been divorced for a decade now, have turned 180 degrees and are begging me to take her back. Her dad even tried to bribe me to take her back. I refused and I blocked them, but they still find ways to circumvent that. My own parents have also done a 180 and are now supportive, but I don't want to talk to them. As for me, well, I've begun to drink a lot more. People always say to work on yourself after a relationship, like going to the gym or getting a new hobby, but I'm just not feeling it. All I want to do now is drink. Co-workers and even my boss noticed my sluggish behavior, but they shrugged it off as me working too hard. My boss even offered some time off, completely off the record. I'm not sure that I should accept it since I probably am just going to drink it away. Any advice on how to best move forward would be very appreciated. And now on to the latest update, titled, My ex sent me a bunch of presents to get back together. I'm keeping them. I can't believe I'm still using this throwaway, but yeah. I left my home today seeing a bunch of packages on my doorstep. I didn't have time to open them, so I tossed them inside and only opened them maybe an hour ago. They were all stuff from my wish list. At first I didn't know who sent them all, but then I checked a personal email that I don't normally use and realized that it was all from my ex. The email said, "Happy anniversary, Milovani." Google the translation. I'm guessing that she bought these in an attempt to get me back. It won't work. I didn't break up with her because of a present. I broke up with her because our relationship was very one-sided and she was so selfish. But you know what? I'm keeping them. Now I can be selfish. In the comments, Maru says, "Hey there, I've been following you since your Reddit post, and this is an amazing update. Also, I'd like to thank you as well. It's thanks to your post that I finally realized that my ex was and is a selfish, disrespecting asshole. He also did similar things to your ex. His birthday, I saved up for months and researched the things that he currently liked, needed, etc., etc. I would scheme to hide and make it exciting for him. Come my birthday, one time he told me that my gift hadn't arrived, and while we were having dinner, went to the nearby $5 shop and got me some random gift. I felt so guilty for not liking it. I kept chanting that it's the thought that counts. 2, another year, he bought me a Star Wars pencil case. The thing is, I had moved on from Star Wars like 3 years ago. I enjoyed different things. He didn't bother or care to know what I currently liked. 3. Another time, I asked him outright to get me this really pretty notebook that was on discount. He promised he would. When he handed me the gift, it was a Star Wars water tumbler that the cinema was selling as leftover stock. I asked about the notebook and he just said, "But you like Star Wars." Mind you, at this point, I had said I didn't like Star Wars anymore many times. I was in fact even more pissed off when the notebook I wanted wasn't on discount anymore and I had to pay full price for it. Sorry for the long comment, but I really would like to thank you for helping me wake up. We had broken up for 2 years and I was still making excuses for him like, he's a good person, he's just busy, and stuff like that. No. He was a straight up, selfish asshole. And OP replies, "Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry that your ex was a selfish asshole." Eerily similar. I started to pick up on my ex's selfishness when she gifted me a similar gift. She gave me a yellow Star Wars shirt, even though I am not a fan of Star Wars, and yellow is her favorite color, not mine. I'm glad that you picked up on it, and seemingly faster than I did with my former partner. Yeah, hopefully this helps other people pick up on warning signs that their partner is also a selfish dickhead. Because as you can see, from stories like this, it's so easy to forgive them and be like, maybe they're busy, maybe there's something else going on in their life. But no, I think if you're with them for 8 years like OP was, they are just a bad person. They are not the right match for you. And it's okay to be angry at that. It's okay to resent them for it because if they are not going to meaningfully change and things are not going to get better, like OP, it's okay to tap out. It's more than okay. If you recognize that you are not compatible, please just give yourself permission to tap out if you want to. Recognize that you don't have to be victim to the sunk cost fallacy. It's not worth it. It's not always worth it. Maybe sometimes it is, but not always. I would find it so hard not to resent my partner if they intentionally, habitually bought gifts for themselves and then was like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot. I messed up again. I guess your birthday gift is actually my birthday gift." But if you, OP, do not strictly follow their wish list and don't get them exactly what they asked for, they're gonna chuck the shits and be like, "What, you don't even care about me, do you? Oh, this wasn't exactly what I wanted. You're an asshole. This is the end of the world. Screw you." Yeah, recognize that that behavior is not normal. That is an unhealthy relationship dynamic and things need to change. Thank you for the story, OP. That was a lengthy one, but it was a good one. I appreciate you coming back and telling us how your life is going now. Am I wrong for not wanting a relationship with my parents now they've cut me off? I'm a student. My parents make enough money that when I went through student finance to get my maintenance loan, I was told that I could only get the minimum, just over $3,000 a year, because finance is calculated from what your parents earn, and there's an assumption that your parents will help you out. I'm on a high-intensity course, and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to balance studying and schooling. So when I found out that I was going to get minimum, I told my parents that I wanted to either take the coming year to save up and then go to my first choice university a year later than planned, or go to my second choice now because I wouldn't be able to afford to live in the city that my first choice is in. My parents then said that they would pay my rent if I went to my first choice on schedule. They set me up in a studio flat, so all I had to do was to get a part-time job to cover the cost of food and bills. On the 18th of February, my 20th birthday, they called me and said that I was relying on them too much, and that I needed to find out what the real world was like by earning my own money. So they would cover my rent and phone for that month, so until the end of February, and after that, I was on my own. Then said that they were still my parents and that they loved me and wanted me to stay in touch, just learn some independence while doing this. I begged them to reconsider, but they ended the call. So I had 11 days notice that I would have no flat or phone. I begged my uni for emergency housing, but they said that I had no proof that I'd been cut off, so they couldn't do anything. I emailed my parents asking them to write a letter stating they'd cut me off so that I could sort out my student finance and emergency housing. They said no. What's the logic in that? Sorry, OP has to learn how to be independent, but not like that. What? I asked if I could take on more hours and was told that due to my contract, I couldn't do any more than I'm already doing. So I'm now looking for a second job. I'm sleeping on a friend's sofa until a place I can afford opens up. And as I still don't have proof I've been cut off for student finance, I will probably have to drop out this summer. I got a Facebook message from them today telling me that they were disappointed that I didn't call on my mum's birthday a couple of days ago, and that I've not given them my new phone number yet. I responded telling them the position I'm currently in and that I no longer want a relationship with them. I've gotten a bunch of messages from them and my brother asking me to reconsider. My friend says that I shouldn't feel bad, but I feel incredibly guilty and like a spoiled brat because I don't love my family for their money, I love them because they are my family. But at the same time, they've really screwed me over here. Am I the asshole for not wanting a relationship with them? In the comments, Singin' Scott Lawyer says, "Not the asshole. Your parents royally screwed you over here. You had 2 separate plans to be able to afford to go to university yourself, and they said if you went to your first choice, they would help you out. To then cut you off with very little warning is completely unfair. I don't blame you for not wanting a relationship with them after they've put you in this position." So much this. OP obviously showed independence by rationalizing 2 separate plans that were easily achievable within their own, unassisted means. That is not a lesson of independence. OP only learned that they could not trust their parents. Not the asshole. They made an offer and backed out of it in the middle of a semester. If they wanted you to be independent, they should have let you make your own decision to go a year later. Now you're out of a home and struggling financially. And even if you got on top of your finances, you'll be strung too thin for your health. Because they pulled the rug out from under you. I understand. It feels real grimy to try to cut ties when money is involved. But really, it shouldn't be about the money. It's about the fact that they left you out to dry and they expected a thank you. While you might have a place to sleep right now, let's not ignore the fact that your parents made you homeless. It's not like they realized they couldn't afford your flat and asked you to find something cheaper. They totally cut you off with essentially no notice. It's not about the money. It's about the flagrant disregard for your well-being. You are certainly not the asshole. Emphasis on the homeless part. And not even just that, OP. They refused to give you the proof necessary for you to get help from elsewhere. It wasn't like they had to call or show up in person to prove it. All you needed was one email that you could print and show emergency housing, but apparently they didn't want that either. They wanted you to fail, OP. Not the asshole. They only gave you an 11-day notice before you had to come up with the money for rent and your phone bill. That's messed up. Then they wouldn't write a letter so you could prove that you were financially independent? That's where I find them as the asshole. You don't have to talk to them if you don't want to. They were cruel on purpose. They are the definition of assholes. They work with surgical precision to ruin their child's life. Yeah, I would be losing my absolute shit if I was in OP's situation. Because, yes, OP did demonstrate the ability to be independent. They planned everything out so that they would be okay, and the parents intentionally said, no, we will support you, we promise. And then shot OP in the foot. They shot OP in the face with that one, honestly. I'd be so angry, I would cut them off for years. I would not have anything to do with them. They don't deserve OP's charitability for this. That's an insanely cruel and sadistic thing to do to your own child, to leave them homeless like that. Genuinely, who do they think they are? I am enraged for OP on OP's behalf. You deserve so much better. Your parents are such pieces of shit. Oh my god. They deserve even less than the worst for this. And now, onto the update. So I messaged them, asking them why they cut me off, saying the least they could do was explain why they're fine leaving me homeless. They responded. My friend, the one I'm staying with, is an out and proud lesbian. There are maybe 2 posts about me on her social media, one being a group shot of us, and some people that we were studying with in the library with me and her sat together, and another from a couple of days before my birthday where she posted a photo of me when we went to lunch because we weren't planning on seeing each other on my actual birthday, and in the caption, she refers to me as Princess in a clearly joking way. My brothers then showed our parents and told them that I was a lesbian and that she was my girlfriend. So now I have proof that they cut me off, proof they're homophobic, and confirmation that they can and will switch on me at the drop of a hat, as well as proof of my brothers, who are older than me and living with our parents, being jealous shitheads. They didn't just tell me this on the phone because they hoped I'd figure it out, which is tricky, given that it's not effing true. That was struck out, okay? Apparently there's enough affection still there for them to expect a call on Mum's birthday, but not enough to not totally fuck me over. So yeah, never talking to them again. Any of them. As you should, OP, screw them. I've sent screenshots to the person I spoke to in the emergency housing, though I've been warned that for something called emergency housing, it's not very fast. My friend has said that I can stay with her as long as I need. The reply my parents sent hasn't explicitly said the phrase, "we cut you off because," but given the context of them replying to my message, asking why, it should be enough. Thanks everyone. I felt really shitty cutting them off over finances, but now I know they're pure effing evil and I don't feel so bad. Here's my new plan. Changing the focus of my studies going into the third year to focus on the subjects I want to do, not the ones that my parents wanted me to do. If I do this, I have a far better shot at getting a work placement. It's far less popular than my current field of study, and if I get a work placement, I can spend my third year working full-time, earning a bit of cash, and then resume my studies the following year. Failing this, and if I can't get any help from the university or student finance, then I will defer my third year and work full-time for a year. My friend says that I can stay with her as long as I need, and has said if I can't get emergency housing but can sort out my placement or another job, then we could get a place together next year so I have a confirmed roommate. I no longer think I'm the asshole, so I'll probably be taking this down. And the thing is, the thing where they struck out before, here's the thing. I might not be straight. I'm figuring it out, and I don't really have the capacity to go through it right now, but I've never said anything to anyone at all, because I knew my parents were homophobic. So my brothers may have thought that they were lying, but they also may have been inadvertently correct. And I have to say, being correct by accident is very typical of them. Update 15 days later. So here's how everything is shaped up. I won't be getting emergency housing from uni. I've not heard anything, and there's less than a month left before summer, so I'd be shocked if I got it at this stage. I'm still living with my friend. She got me a job at her workplace, but refuses to take any rent off me, so I've been repaying her by sneakily buying food and cooking her dinner as I get home before her. We have plans to move in together this summer, ready for next year. My parents have done a complete 180 and now want me to forgive them so badly that they're still refusing to sign a letter showing that they've cut me off, so I'm still effed with student finance. My parents have also offered me my truck back, so me, my roommates, and 2 more friends will be going to my parents' house sometime soon to collect my truck and some things from my room. My tutor has written a letter for me for student finance, which they might accept, but I'm waiting to hear back. My course changes were approved, so now I'm doing what I want, not what my parents want, and it looks like I got my work placement. So I'll either be working and studying part-time for 2 years, or working all next year and finishing studies the year after. Either way, I'll be adding an extra year to my course, but I get paid and get relevant experience in my field. Ultimately, everything seems to have worked out as well as it could. Thanks to everyone who commented, because a lot of you gave great advice and thought of stuff that I didn't. And I was truly concerned that I was in the wrong, so thanks for the reassurance too. I will also be booking a session with the on-campus mental health professional because this really has shone a light on just how messed up my family is. Thanks again. In the comments, Lucidity says, "The absolute shame those parents quote-unquote should feel. Disgusting. Don't forget the dumb brothers too. Hey, let's tell our homophobic parents that our sister is a lesbian. That'll be the perfect prank." I literally kept a secret from my mum for my brother until she died. It's not hard to be a good sibling. They all deserve to be cut off. I'm surprised OP is even able to go get the truck and all the rest of their stuff back, but What sad, pathetic people to do that to OP, to all come together to mess with her in a situation that they all collectively pressured her to do from the get-go. They all pressured her into doing that. It's not like OP was like, I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna go to my first uni, no plan, no money, just a dream. They all set her up to fail. They all deserve nothing to do with her going forward. I definitely say yes, scorched earth, have nothing to do with them anymore. They are not worth your time. And it already sounded like OP didn't really like them all that much, given their descriptions. So, maybe you're going to be a lot happier in life, OP, without these pieces of shit in your life. I don't care if I'm angry, guys. This story got me pissed off. I'm passionate for OP. I feel like it's our moral obligation to be this pissed off when family screws you over like this, lest you allow it to happen again. Because if I'm in this situation, I'm certainly not allowing my boundaries to be crossed and my life to be torn apart by those I'm supposed to be able to rely on. Thank you for the story, OP. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I hope everything continues to look up from here, because it's already looking pretty good. What with the work placement, so good luck. Our next post is by user electronicgas5769, titled, Am I the asshole for uninviting my daughter to our Christmas gathering? I'm a mother of 4 children, 2 older sons and 2 younger daughters. All of them are adults and have moved out a long time ago. I've always been close to my daughter S, while P has always liked to have her own space. Which I don't mind. They're both beautiful, talented young women that I thought I couldn't be more proud of. We're having early Christmas this year. The first week of December, I was inviting everyone around for Christmas dinner, gift giving, and the lot. When I phoned P yesterday to clarify a few things, she mentioned that she and her husband would not be coming. When I asked, she said that they had separated for now as he had cheated. I said that it was surely better to spend time with family if this was the case, and maybe she should come home for some time. She ummed and ahed, but then eventually she told me that he had an affair with Stinkbug, and they had been seeing each other for the past 2 years. I felt sick. For the past 6 months in our talks, S had alluded that she had been seeing someone and was typically girl in love. I uninvited S to the Christmas gathering and blocked her. I don't know if I'm able to deal with her before Christmas, but this is family time, and family can't hurt each other like that. I'm at a loss in all honesty. P is now coming, which is good, because at this time she needs the stability of people who love her, in my opinion. The problem is that S naturally thinks that I'm in the wrong. It's none of my business, and as her mother, I can't block her and remove her from the family. My sister thinks that I shouldn't get involved in their personal lives, which I think is bullshit. My daughter needs us right now, but then she tells me I have 2 daughters to think about, which I think isn't true. S has forfeited that right at the moment. Thankfully, my husband is liaising with Sally at the moment, but he is also in solidarity with me. So are we in the wrong for uninviting a daughter for Christmas? A small update, Penny's mother-in-law found out. While me and her have only spoken a few times, she did dote on Penny, and I know Penny got along well with her. I haven't spoken to her personally, but I know she phoned my daughter and was really supportive and crying. My sister said that if Sally isn't invited, then she isn't going either, which is fine by me. She wasn't invited in the first place due to the pandemic. Otherwise, I've been working and doing some crochet, so it's been quiet. In the comments, Cheerily Terrified says, not the asshole. No. Sleeping with her sister's husband is a really good reason to uninvite your daughter. This is a case where one has so massively wronged the other that staying neutral or not taking sides is taking a side. I've seen a few of these that go the other way and want the betrayed sister to suck it up and put their hurt and feelings aside for the sake of the family, so good for you for not pulling that bullshit. Right? She went from S to Stinkbug and I was like, who? Me too. Hoagie Mama says, not the asshole. Uninviting your daughter to one family event to support your other daughter who she violated is not wrong. You don't say that you're disowning Stinkbutt, just that Poopface is currently your priority. If Stinkbutt has even a shred of reason, this will make sense to her. She knows what she did is wrong. I agree. Poop-Face deserves all of the charitability in this instance, because Stinkbutt was such a monster. I can't take this seriously when she changes names so much. Why those names? Why did you have to do this to me, OP? Anyway, I agree with OP in this instance. Sally Stinkbutt, whatever her name is, has, forfeited the right to be OP's daughter in this instance. Screw her. I don't think you cut her off completely, but you definitely put her in timeout, that's for sure. I'd be disgusted in my kids if they did something like this to their own sibling. Who the hell do you think you are? Have you lost your damn mind? You definitely need punishment for that. Social stigma, shame, and being ousted from the family for a considerable amount of time so that you learn that you can't get away with shit like that. Absolutely. And also, shame on your sister for saying that you need to be better to your daughter that has done something so shameful. No, shame on you, sister. How dare you defend someone's actions like that and shame OP for standing up for someone that was wronged in the family. I look down upon those that defend such evils. I fully back everything you've done here, OP. Absolutely continue doing God's work here. You're not the asshole at all. And now, onto the update, 1 month later. Hello all. My Christmas gathering was yesterday, and my son and husband wondered if I would post an update for you all. It's been rather uneventful, but I've been equally surrounded by warmth and love, while also feeling heartbroken and lonely. So first of all, since my post, my husband has been teaching me to use Reddit. I've really enjoyed being in some craft communities. My daughter Penny has been staying with us. She works from home. My husband and eldest went to get some more of her stuff from her old house. Penny's mother-in-law, Jane, was there and was very helpful and sweet. She also bought some mint hot chocolate for our Penny and Christmas candles. I know they are her favorite. From what Penny has told me, Jane is having similar feelings to me. A lot of guilt over our children's decision to hurt people we love. I think at this point we have to accept that we did our best raising them, but they're adults now, so we can't beat ourselves up. Penny and Jane are going to stay in touch. I think Jane truly does think of Penny as a daughter/friend. On to some more negative things. I wrote my letter to Sally during this time. I expressed that I was extremely disappointed and also disgusted. While I will continue to have a relationship with her, she won't be welcome to any family gatherings with Penny present unless Penny has met a point in her life where she feels comfortable. I told her what some of you had said, that not taking a side would be a side, and that she had for all intents and purposes already uninvited herself when she was so cruel to her sister. Sally had apparently come up on Friday and knocked on the door. I was out shopping at the time. My husband spoke to her. Apparently Sally and Michael, my son-in-law, are going to continue their relationship. I will not support it in any way or form. She may be my daughter, but that man is not welcome. I am supporting Penny through the divorce, and if Sally ever expects money for the wedding or a house, then she is a very naive girl. My husband sent her away, after which Sally had said that we have to get over it someday. Otherwise, the Christmas gathering was lovely. It was strange not getting drunk and playing board games due to COVID, but still a pleasant time. My hip hurts from the cooking, but my husband and Penny did the cleaning up, so who's the real winner? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for your kind words when I last spoke to you. In the comments, HollyStar241 says, I wasn't able to judge your other post, as it's locked, but I'm glad your Christmas gathering went well, OP. And just to say you're not the asshole for uninviting Sally, and I hope P can move on from this, and perhaps find a better man who won't cheat on her and treat her like a queen. Weekly Conversation says, I agree. If Sally marries the asshole-in-law, then she will create a vacancy for the position of mistress. Saber Eyes says, you handled everything perfectly. We see many posts on here where the parents take the opposite approach. Welcome the sister and cheater to everything and tell the one that was wronged just to get over it. I mean, what the hell is up with that? Your get-together sounds like it was fun. It's cool they did the cleanup. I never thought that it's fair that the women in my family spent the first half of the day cooking and still had to do the cleanup afterwards while the men watch TV. OP replies, "It was still a very hard decision to make. My heart breaks at a situation I can't fix. My husband will always do the dishes, as he insists I don't load the dishwasher correctly. Maybe I should do more of the cleaning incorrectly." Update 1 year later. I hope this message finds you well. A lot has changed since I last spoke with you all, so I would like to update you because I'm finding things a bit difficult right now. First of all, Penny is doing well. She met someone new about a year ago. They're incredibly supportive and sweet, and they made such an effort in getting to know me and my husband. Penny was still living with me when she started seeing them, so I got to watch their relationship develop, and although Penny is a grown woman, I couldn't help but be reminded of when she was a child and having crushes. It was very endearing, and I'm glad that I got to witness firsthand the smile her new partner gives her. Penny also got a new job and has moved to Ireland with her new partner. Sally and Michael have continued their relationship. I don't have a lot of love to give Michael. I'm civil enough, but frankly, it's difficult for me to become invested in their relationship at all. Michael recently asked my permission to marry Sally, which was disrespectful to say the least. Penny still lived with me last Christmas, so again, they were not invited. I am not hosting this Christmas and am instead going to visit my eldest son. He and his wife had a little boy at the beginning of this year. They've asked me to stay with them for a little while so that I can help with the cooking and cleaning, as they've been struggling a little bit. Finally, my husband passed away 9 months ago. He fell while on a walk and hit his head and was there for some hours before someone found him. It's been a difficult transition, to put it mildly. Being a little bit on the older side, I've lost a fair few people in my life, and while I did grieve, I always had the strength to continue. Losing my husband made me realize how much I relied on him, not just to take the bins out or pick me up from choir practice, but all the times I was angry, sad, and overwhelmed, and he was there for me. When other people passed away, at least you get moments of respite in the grief, where you just sort of forgot they've passed. With my husband, there are only reminders. Every time I wake up alone, when I now have to take the bins out, when I have to cook a meal just for one person. There's not really a moment of peace in this grief, and I've found it very difficult to deal with. It's his birthday at the end of November, and there was another moment of grief as I had to get rid of my notes for birthday gift ideas in my notebook. Everything's just been so painful to deal with, and I just cannot stop crying even after all this time. I just can't even stand to think of the good moments that I shared with him because it just hurts too much. I know there's not a correct way to grieve or time limit, but I just feel like I've got to get up and start looking after myself for everyone around me. I really want to thank you all for reading this. It's been incredibly helpful just to be able to share my feelings a little bit. I hope you all have been doing well. And now for the latest update, 2.5 years later. I wasn't quite sure how to respond to all the messages I received after my last post. It seemed like a mighty task to reply to all of you individually, so although I appreciate the well wishes, you'll have to settle for sharing the thank you message. So, thank you for all of the advice and care that you've shown since that one Christmas so many years ago. When my husband passed, I couldn't see another way to live my life. We had shared and created so much together, and I suppose I never imagined a life without him because I never wanted it. That being said, my husband quite selfishly died, and so after a year of stagnation, it was time to live a life without him. I have moved closest to my eldest son and wife to help raise my grandchildren. It was difficult at first, because although the children keep me busy and gave me joy and purpose, I did sometimes wish to talk to someone my own age about my own interests and not just Bluey. Serendipitously, I ran into an old friend of mine at the leisure center about a half a year ago, and she is also widowed. It feels like a light in my life has been switched back on. We reconnected almost instantly, and it's a blessing to have someone that I can rely on again. We are living together, and she is pretty much considered co-grandmother. While I do still wake up alone, I now know that the kettle is already boiling downstairs. Penny is doing well. She's now moved to the Netherlands for work, and she and her partner are still together. They've just recently gone back home after visiting for the week. Sally is also doing well. I know for some that will be disappointing to hear, including myself sometimes. On one hand, as a mother, I'm glad she's happy. On the other hand, equally as a mother, I can't forgive her for hurting Penny. I also have some deeper resentments as my husband passed while he was also hurting because of the decisions that she has made. Sometimes I feel it's unfair to hold that against her. We still talk, and I still love her, but sometimes I feel like I'm going through the motions rather than caring for my daughter as I used to. It's also a really hard thing to talk about to other people. There's a lot of guilt and shame involved when sharing that sometimes I feel quite ambivalent towards my daughter. All in all, the last couple of years have been a bit eventful. I would give everything to turn back time, but I can't, and so I spend my time appreciating everything I still have. Once again, thank you all for your advice, care, and well wishes. The help I received was invaluable for navigating a difficult time in my life. In the comments, 123LGB says, "Things OP experienced. One of her children hurt another of her children in one of the cruelest ways possible. Her husband died in an unexpected and traumatic way. She had to move towns and make new social connections. Her nuclear and extended family are all emotionally and geographically split up, and she has to force herself to go through the motions and live with the fundamental lack of care that she feels for one of her own children. Unhinged Redditors say to her, 'You should also die.' Like, what more pain could you wish on this lady? Right? Like, my mum went through a hell that I can't express. Lost her husband and her sight within 6 months. Is she perfect? Hell no, but throughout my life she tried to defend me the best she could and provide a safe and caring home. Again, she is flawed, but the hell she's gone throughout her entire life, widow and blindness is just the tip of the iceberg of hell. I will never let someone talk shit without giving them a piece of my mind." Just another one of those tough stories, really. Like, there's no winning in a situation like this. Life sucks. People can suck. People are flawed. People are not perfect. And honestly, I admire OP for coming back and sharing their story with us every step of the way, even through the worst of times. Like, I genuinely can't imagine having to go through all of that, and then 3 months later, your husband just drops dead. Genuinely hell on earth. And then to come back 2.5 years later, still find a light in the darkness. Absolutely love that. I wish nothing but the best for her. It really does suck. I can't downplay that. And to have assholes come at her and be like, "You know what, you're imperfect, and you didn't do the right thing here, and you need to do what I say." Screw those people. Genuinely screw those people. They get to live in their little lap of luxury away from the hells that OP here is dealing with, and they don't have to be the one in the driver's seat. I hate people like that, and I love people like OP that can persevere. I'm gonna say it, I don't care. People that attack OP are just as bad as OP's daughter that cheated with their brother-in-law. Just gross. Very weird people. Anyway, that's the end of that story. I'd love to know what you guys have to think of this one down in the comments. Look at me firing off on all cylinders today, huh? Am I the asshole for buying my sister a super expensive gift for her 40th birthday? I'd like to get some outside opinions on a situation that's gotten a bit tense. I, 35 male, have been doing very well for myself lately after a recent promotion. One of my personal goals is to purchase a specific Rolex, and as part of that process, I've been trying to build a relationship with a luxury watch dealer. My sister, 40 female, turned 40 last month. And since she's my only sister, and we're very close, I wanted to give her something special. She loves designer items and has always appreciated that kind of thing, so for this milestone birthday, I got her a Cartier watch, around $13,000. This is very out of the norm. Typically, I spend about $200 on birthday gifts for both her and my brother-in-law, 44 male. The issue started after her birthday. My brother-in-law made a comment about how he hoped for a designer watch for his birthday too, and I laughed because I assumed he was joking. It turns out he wasn't. I later found out that he was actually upset about the difference in gifts. For his birthday, which was 2 months before hers, I got him a $200 gift. And for his 40th a few years ago, I gave him a $500 steakhouse gift card. Now, both he and my sister are upset. She said the gift was disrespectful to their relationship and too unequal. And while she seemed sad saying it, I couldn't tell if it was more about the tension it caused. To be clear, I wanted to do something unique and meaningful for my sister, someone I've known and loved my whole life. I'm not particularly close to my brother-in-law, and honestly, I've always had to tolerate a bit of insecure behavior from him. I didn't expect this level of drama from what I saw as a generous one-off gift. They have asked that I return the watch and get 2 around $6,000 watches. Privately, my sister has said that I shouldn't have bought the watch as it annoyed my brother-in-law very much. In the comments, Basic Bletch says, "Not the asshole." Wow. So sorry your brother-in-law happens to you and your sister. What a beautiful, thoughtful, and generous gift to the person that you're closest to in life. I'm sure your sister is completely fuming about having to give the watch back to appease her child's tantrum. Oh, whoops, I meant husband. In my opinion, you either tell them exactly what you've said here, that this was a gesture to your sister and that you won't take it back, or you take it back and give her a $500 voucher to a steakhouse to make things even. Brother-in-law doesn't get to demand an expensive watch from you, and I guarantee your sister is just trying desperately to keep the peace. C Survivor 9 says, "Not the asshole. Take the watch back and give your sister a $500 gift certificate and an apology for not honoring the code and doing the same for her. Then, end any discussion about it further. Your brother-in-law is being a total asshole, and now your sister is following suit. You are not a bank. Yeah, take it back. Sell it or keep it and give her a $200 gift card from a random store. Why didn't they say something when you gave him $500 and less to her the same year?" Honestly, I would take the watch back and give her the $500 gift card, because in my mind, the petty me wants to say, screw the brother-in-law, just tell her to keep the watch and he can get bent. But given how much of a defender she's being of her husband, and I understand where she's coming from, rightfully so, she has every right to be behind him and defend him, I get it. I think that, defending OP's position and standing on business with the watch, you're going to cause so much trouble, you're going to cause so much unnecessary drama doing that, even though it's an incredibly generous thing. It's an amazing thing that OP has done. I just think realistically, it's not worth the heartache. It's not worth the headaches of screaming from these children. Take it back, make it equal. They can cry about it all they want, but you're not giving a $13,000 watch to that man. He's not your sister. And you're certainly not going to be splitting it halfway, because that doesn't send the right message here. I don't think you're the asshole for buying your sister the super expensive gift. I think they're assholes for their reaction to this. And now, onto the update. So a day later, I saw a government ad about coercive control, and something just clicked. It felt like I finally had the words to describe something that I'd been sensing for a long time. He's always come across as insecure and controlling, but that ad and the last post helped me see it through a different lens. I decided to call my sister. I had originally planned to talk in person, but once we got on the phone, the conversation naturally unfolded. I tried to be as kind and compassionate as I could. I told her that I've been quietly worried for a long time, that there have been signs that she's in a controlling relationship, and that it doesn't sit right with me anymore. Some of the things that I brought up were, I've never been able to see her without him around. Every lunch, birthday, even casual meetups, he must be there or we rescheduled. It's like she's never allowed her own space. She doesn't have her own money, and she makes more than him. I had grey knowledge of a listed company that was about to make an announcement, and she couldn't invest because he doesn't trust the stock market. The company went up 5x a week later. Over time, she's lost contact with all of her old friends. Her entire social circle now was just him and his people. I told her that it didn't seem like a healthy dynamic. that I missed the version of her who felt more free, more present, more herself. I really tried to be compassionate, but she just snapped. She brought up my past, that I dropped out of university, was a rebellious teen, smoked weed, caused our mum stress. After 2 of our best friends died in a car, I struggled for a few years, and I did a lot of rebellious stuff when I was 18 to 21, but it felt like a way to discredit what I was saying now. She told me that I had no right to judge her life, and then said that she was going no contact with me. It hurt. A lot. I didn't reach out to judge her or try to save her. I just wanted to tell her how I felt because I love her and I was scared for her. I hope I planted a seed. It's really hard at the moment. I feel like I lost my sister and niece forever. The sad thing is, I feel a lot of relief that I don't need to see my brother-in-law again. In the comments, Disney Nerd Mum says, take the watch back and donate the proceeds to a domestic violence/women's shelter, or invest it for when she does finally leave. If you still want to help her, that is. A petty move and also a noble cause. Also, send a copy of that receipt to their house. It'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. She's going no contact with you anyway, better to do it with a bang. But I would also recommend to keep contact lines open in case she needs support once she realizes the situation she is in and tries to leave. Whataboutism is a way to avoid dealing with the current situation. I'm worried you've cut off ties with friends. Well, once upon a time you smoked weed. It's nonsensical, right? You've expressed your concern to your sister. You did not try to be her savior. You're good. Did you plant a seed? It may be a long time before you know. Remember, your brother-in-law wants those seeds to die. Unfortunately, he had probably primed his abuse to control for a response like this from you. He would have framed your gift as interfering in their marriage and warned her that you might try to get between them. Abusers know that their victims' friends and family may recognize the abuse and actively manipulate their victims to prevent any intervention from having the intended effect. It is rare that a direct intervention or confrontation, like you've described, actually results in the victim leaving the abuser. When trying to help someone see the abusive dynamic they are in, it's best to focus on their feelings, experiences, and what they think is best for them, as the abuser is constantly trying to erase their experience and override their feelings. This isn't a criticism of you. These things are not intuitive. Just a sad situation, and I hope that OP takes that advice in the comments on how to tackle a situation like this. I agree, things like this are not intuitive. We don't always know the best way to counter the propaganda that an abuser puts in an abused victim's brain. It really is something you have to learn to navigate, and I'm sure every different experience requires, a different and more nuanced approach. But I truly do think this is some good ground level advice to work with. Focus on their feelings, experiences, and what they think is best for them, as the abuser is constantly trying to erase those experiences and override those feelings. It does bear repeating. I don't think you can always directly address this because they're primed for that direct addressing. You saying, it looks like it's coercive control. It seems like you're being abused. He's already primed her for that. He's said, she's gonna say that I'm abusing you. She's gonna say this. She's gonna say that. Don't believe her. She's trying to get between us. I hope we get another update one day. It might be years from now, but I do hope we do get one, where OP says, my sister saw the light, she is now free from his grasp, and she is doing a lot better. Thank you for the story, OP. Our next post is by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the asshole here for telling my girlfriend to stop saying my penis is big? So the other day, my girlfriend got drunk with her friends, and they were talking about sex. My girlfriend mentioned something along the lines of, and this one guy I smashed was this effing big, while holding up her hands. It was a lot of space between her hands. My girlfriend turned to me, and I think she realized that was too much information with me around. I'm not gonna lie, my girlfriend being so giddy about having hooked up with a guy with such a large duck, kinda hurt my confidence. I didn't say anything because I figured this was a me problem. Anyways, Next time we try to have sex, she talks about just how big I am, something she's never done before in our years of being together. I stopped her and asked what's up with that. I kinda put the pieces together to be honest, but I wanted her to confirm. She played dumb and just said she felt like saying it. I straight up asked her if this was about the other night, and she denied it. At that point, I was completely turned off and just didn't have sex with her. She keeps bringing up my size when it comes to sex, and I've told her I don't like being patronized like this. I know I'm not that big, especially nowhere near as big as the other guy was. Well, according to her hand gestures. She keeps bringing my size up, and at this point, I told her that the second she brings it up, I'm done with sex. At one point, she was riding me, and she mentioned my size, and I straight up told her to get off. In the comments, Bagrick says, "You've told her multiple times to drop it, and she hasn't. That's just rude." Totally agree. Once is maybe awkward, twice is pushing it, but after multiple conversations? That's not cool. She's just doubling down on something that already hurt him. OP's not the asshole, no matter how you spin it. While it's good that he said not to do it, even without, it is wrong on so many levels. No respect towards people's right to privacy, sexist objectification, no respect towards her current partner in relationship, complete resistance and will to learn to be a decent partner, and not a single sorry for acting like an ass. This is breakup worthy. She's a bad person. Not the asshole. She's obviously aware that she put her foot in her mouth and is trying to make up for it. The problem is, it is such a transparent attempt that it's being counterproductive. Maybe she should just learn to keep her mouth shut about intimate details. Honestly, I'm all about that comment with that list. There was a lot that she has done wrong here, and she refuses to listen to OP. I think I could forgive the wrongdoing if she had immediately changed her actions, apologized for it, and been a better person as a result, but she refuses to do that. That line, complete resistance and will to learn to be a decent partner, you're just constantly putting him down, you're doing something he doesn't want you to do, you continue to say it, you don't listen. Yeah, this is breakup worthy. Yeah, she is a bad person. If you want a healthy relationship, you gotta learn to have respect for your partner. You gotta stop when told to stop. That's it. And if you don't, you are a bad person. So, yeah, not the asshole in any universe, OP. I really don't like her. And now, onto the update. We broke up. So I had one final calm talk. I told her that I didn't like her comments about my big penis. That even if she meant them, I just can't believe her, and that if she's just trying to boost up my confidence, it's just not working. She seemed to accept it and we came to an agreement. Sadly, the next time we had sex, she said it again. And at that point, I was actually mad. I told her that I just don't know how to get through to her that this isn't something I like. She got defensive and started yelling at me, saying that I should just believe her and that she doesn't like being treated like a liar. Honestly, we just started fighting, and the cherry on top was that she straight up said, maybe if your dick wasn't so small, I wouldn't be talking about other guys. I knew it was over at that point. I just left the convo after telling her that we were done. Honestly, even if she didn't mean it, I just can't deal with this anymore. In the comments, Immortally Wounded says, "It always amazes me how few people are willing to listen to their partner when they bring up problems. Better luck in the future. I don't know if you can even call this girl a partner. She seems like a user. She doesn't like being treated like a liar, yet she then called your members small after all the time of her saying it's big. Then she shouldn't be a liar. It's clear she isn't mature at all or has abuser tendencies. No means no. She has to accept this too, but it's clear she isn't capable of doing this. It's only she that matters to herself. I don't understand why she would keep repeatedly saying it if it was turning him off and pissing him off to the point that he'd stop having sex with her the second she said it. That seems like a clear sign to stop. She's a typical case of giving someone what she thinks they need instead of actually paying attention. What she did was already messed up, but her saying he has a big penis to make him feel good and then saying he has a small one to make him feel bad is a whole other level of messed up. She's weaponizing his size against him. It's like when someone does something nice for you, and then they hold it against you the second they're not happy with you. I hate that so much. I hate it. I would be so weirded out by a partner suddenly talking up my dick size. And I am, let's just say I'm comfortable with a lot of things and very secure about my extremely boringly average dick. If I hooked up with a new person and they were somehow blown away, that would be one thing. And mostly that thing is hilarious. But it is so obviously sketchy and suspect and patronizing when someone you've been sleeping with for a while brings it up. I've had a partner say, "Holy shit, you feel big from that angle," which was nice, largely because, it was plausible. But don't be like this. If you make a partner feel weird about any part of their body, talk it out and listen to them. And that's all there is to it. Sorry that I repeat a lot in these comments, but I really do like the discourse. I find it interesting. And sometimes, in order to get a message through to people, you kind of have to repeat it a lot of different times in a lot of different ways. Anyway, I'm glad OP broke up with her. She was bad news from the start. She's gonna be bad news in the future. Take the trash out and don't look back, OP. You do deserve better. Thank you for the story. Our next post is by user Dramatic Succotash, and it's titled, "My girlfriend doesn't want to have sex with me or even show me affection because I took a jiu-jitsu class." So I, 20 male, have been doing martial arts for over a year now and recently decided to try out some jiu-jitsu as I've always wanted to try it. My girlfriend, 19 female, has always loved watching martial arts but not participate, so she watches me train sometimes. I had 3 lessons of jiu-jitsu and my girlfriend decided she wanted to watch. Big mistake. During the session, I'll pulled guard on someone, as that's what we're being taught. And this is the thing that she has a problem with. She was watching, and at the end of the session I could tell something was wrong. She wouldn't look at me or talk to me. I tried to hold her after we walked outside, and she pulled away from me. She looked disgusted with me, like she didn't want to be with me. So we get into my car and I just ask her, "I know something's hurt you. Please tell me what it is." Silence for the whole car journey home. When we get home, she sits down and just states, "I can never have sex with you again. I don't feel comfortable holding you." I asked why she felt like that, and my girlfriend just said, "It's because of the moves that I did, and that when I pulled guard on someone, it made her think that I want to be affectionate with other people." I just sat there confused. I understand that it'd make her uncomfortable, and I don't want her to ever feel like that, but since this conversation, she hasn't showed me any affection. If I try to hold her hand or just hug her, she pulls away, and it's been like this for a few days. What am I meant to do? Will things just go back to normal? I genuinely don't know what to do, but I've cancelled my jiu-jitsu membership because of it. Edit, the person I was sparring was a dude, and this is pulling guard to pulling guard. In the comments, Askew Thinking says, "Real talk, I think she's being overdramatic. If you want my honest answer, call her out on her stupid thinking." And OP says, "I have. She actually has realized it's stupid, but her behavior hasn't changed." Well, then it's time to dip, lil bro. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. Cancelling your membership was, by far, the worst thing to do. Just to placate an unhinged teenager? Because that's what your girlfriend is, and you're enabling it by capitulating. OP says, "That's true. I do regret cancelling it, but I can easily get the membership again, so it's not too bad. But I agree. It was a stupid decision by me." Rambo Lambo says, "Get the membership back, dump the insecure girl. She knows she's in the wrong, but is too stubborn to admit it and change. She's stonewalling you. Cancelling your membership won't reignite the intimacy in your relationship because nothing you do will make her change. She has to be the one to willingly put aside her petty insecurities and work on herself. You deserve better than someone who treats you like this." I agree. It does sound like she's being a petty, insecure teenager that can't deal with the realities of combat sports, I guess. Stuff like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you see your partner wrestling with another man and that makes you think that he wants to have sex with that other guy, while it's true, just kidding, it's not true. That's crazy. That sucks. Sucks to be that person that has that insecurity. I get where it's coming from, but that's irrational. And you need to recognize that line of thought is irrational, that's wrong. It doesn't mean they want to have sex with that person, and that you need to grow up. Because that's the wrong way of thinking. She's 19 years old. We all make mistakes. She is young. She can grow up and change her mindset. I hope that OP can have some rational conversations with her and change her mind, but whether she listens to him and changes her ways, who knows? But yeah, not the arsehole for this one, OP. Good luck. And now, onto the update. We spoke about it all yesterday, and I know many of you will be annoyed, but we are still together after talking it out. Yesterday in the morning, I woke up to a text from my girlfriend saying, "I'm actually so dumb, lol. I made a problem out of nothing." I just responded saying, "Yeah, she can be very dumb sometimes, lol." And she sent laughing emojis, so I could tell she was in a much better mood. Basically, I picked her up from work and we talked about it, and there was a lot that we spoke about, and I'll try my best to condense it into smaller points. Basically, she was jealous that someone else was in that position with me at the time, which is stupid, and she realized that. Later, after our conversation, when she had said that she didn't want to have sex with me anymore, she realized how silly that is for two main reasons. It's nothing sexual, and never would be. And it's martial arts. It's used to defend yourself. There was more, but I'm just condensing it, as it's way too much to write out. She's also going to see a doctor and a gynecologist, as I said in some comments. Her periods have been getting very bad recently, and it's affecting her daily life. So bad that I actually made a Reddit post asking for help in the past. Her hormones have been affected by this too, and has changed her behavior in the last few months, but we never had any big issues. Her parents have also noticed this, and suggested we go to a gynecologist. However, this is not an excuse for her behavior, but maybe an explanation. I have not excused the behavior though. I made it clear that it's not acceptable to not communicate about the issue, and to be honest, even make this an issue. Because there was no issue, and even she agrees. If anything like this happens again, I made it clear that it will be a big problem. If that's something that's stupid and hurts her, then we may have to talk about our relationship, because it isn't acceptable. I also showed her some of the comments on the post. Obviously, I had to tone it down a little, but some of the comments gave her a much better understanding. Thank you for all of the help. She also wants to thank you for being harsh. It was a reality check that she needed. Then I made us basically play a game that we did in jiu-jitsu one time, where I pull guard, and she has to try to get out basically, and she absolutely loved it. I've never seen her have so much fun. After we played the game, she literally got up and said, "I have no idea why I had a problem with that." Since she enjoyed it, I asked if she wanted to go and try some jiu-jitsu classes, as I got my membership back. So on Tuesday next week, we are going to do a jiu-jitsu class together, and we're looking to book a gynecologist appointment as soon as possible. So I guess if anything happens then, I'll update you all. Thank you all for the help, I truly appreciate it. In the comments, Ailish says, "Love the update. Half of the Redditors are quick to jump and advise to break up or dip, but I prefer talking out things and fixing them. You're supposed to grow together. Arguments and issues happen. Good on you and your girlfriend for figuring this out, and good on her for realizing she was overreacting. Learn and lean forward. Good luck." So right. People's responses are usually way too extreme, especially considering it's a biased source only having a few sentences from one side in the situation. The post be like, "My girlfriend chuckled under her breath when I stubbed my toe," and the replies be like, "Dump her, bro. Red flag, run as fast as you can. She sounds evil. Sleep with one eye open and pack your stuff up and leave while she's at work." Angel World says, "Happy for you both. I do want to note that threatening to withhold sex if you don't behave the way that she wants is not something she should make a habit of, nor something you should make a habit of accepting. Apologies if you've already heard that 1,000 times. Anyways, good luck." And OP says, "Yeah, I said that to her and made it very clear. She said that it was an awful thing for her to do, and it shouldn't ever happen." Good lord, the stupidity is strong with this one. That's pretty common in 19 and 20-year-olds. A lot of people make hormonal, impulsive, and irrational decisions before their brains have matured. She seemed very understanding and apologetic at her behavior, but I don't know, man. I'd have a hard time getting past what an idiot she is. Like, genuinely dumb. I don't think there's anything wrong with someone being dumb as bricks. It's the content of their character that matters. There are some lovely idiots, and there are some real evil idiots. I just wish evil idiots were less common than they are. In a world full of dumb assholes, cherish the Forrest Gumps. A heart of gold is priceless. Opie's girlfriend is a bit in between. I give her some grace because I think her hormones are a bit messed up at the time of the post, so I'm just hoping that she's great besides that little moment of frustration she caused. ATGF says, for those who don't know, having someone in your guard means you're on your back with your legs wrapped around their waist, and from there you can pull them into you and do combatives. You're on your back, but you're in the position of power. I apologize if this has already been explained, but frankly, I skimmed this because I couldn't handle the stupidity. I do Krav Maga, which incorporates jiu-jitsu. Some of my friends and I do joke around about how kinky some of the moves are, but they never actually feel kinky or sexy. I can understand how it might look from the outside, but you're usually sweaty and gross, and even uncomfortable at times. Like if you're doing locks or chokes, or any move where your partner has to tap. My boobs have been indirectly touched so many times, and I've never clutched my pearls or been turned on. It's just whatever. Part of the territory. You're in close quarters for sure, but again, it's really not sexy. My 28 female, best friend 27 male, has been lying to me for 7 years. I feel like I'm in some weird soap opera and have no clue how to end this. I'm struggling with figuring out how to start this, so I guess I'll just start with context. I, female 28, have been friends with Blake, 28 male, for about 10 years now. We met when I was traveling for a new job out of state, and I kid you not, immediately became best friends in the week I was there. Same interests, great energy and conversation, we just clicked. We were friends for nearly 2 years before trying the dating thing. It lasted 3 months, which is important, during which Blake did not treat me well due to unresolved issues from prior relationships. Before I could end it, he decided to end it himself as he had feelings for someone else. Fine with me. We were clearly better as friends. I took some space because he hadn't been treating me well. He got into therapy and apologized for being shitty, and was willing to put in the work to regain my trust for our friendship, which he did consistently over the 8 years since. Fast forward to now, I'm happily married to my wonderful husband Cam, 28 male, together for 6 years, married for around 2 years. Blake and I are still best friends. He and his ex, after our brief dating stint, broke up, and he's now with a wonderful woman, Kaylee, 21 female, and has been for almost 2 years now. They started dating a few months before my wedding, and this is important. Kaylee and I are also good friends. She's the sweetest person. Blake also lives in the same city as me now after his mother passed, having moved down here for a better support network. His girlfriend moved in about 9 months ago. In the past 6 months or so, things have been strained with Blake. My husband is very introverted, and Blake started voicing frustration about his inability to be closer friends with Cam and feeling like he bothers Cam. He and I also started having weird tiffs, kind of subtle negs and belittling comments, etc. Then my husband and I came over to a game night for Blake's birthday 3 months ago, during which Blake picked fights with me about very weird things. For example, my career path and how I'm going about it wrong, making comments like, I guess if you want to stunt yourself in life, you can do it that way, etc. Both Cam and I were very caught off guard, and after several attempts to shut it down, made excuses and headed home. Later, Blake proceeded to send me a text asking if I was okay because the vibes felt off, to which I was like, no kidding, and explained my issue. He decided to reply with an email. Who uses email anymore? 8 long paragraphs about how he felt, and his experience and knowledge was dismissed in our discussion, how he felt ganged up on when Cam would defend my side, and how he felt like he can't be himself around me and Cam anymore. He also made comments voicing that he didn't feel like he could trust me because I tell Cam everything. Not true. I always ask before sharing unless it's a danger or moral issue, and that he thinks I'm unhealthily codependent on Cam because whenever Blake and I hang out one-on-one, I'm always calling to let Cam know how late I'll be out or check if I'm cool to pick up takeout. We're married with joint finances, like, sue me? I replied, trying to clarify my end, as well as understand where the ever-loving hell this was all coming from, but no matter how many times I tried, we kept going in circles. The emailing back and forth, during which he demanded we not meet up till this was resolved, lasted till about 2 weeks ago, when I said that I needed time to think about how to reply next. About a month ago, I got into therapy because it was seriously messing with my head and making me feel like I was a problem, and like I couldn't talk to anyone about this because we share so much of our support system. I finally broke down to my sister when she came over to see why I hadn't been answering her, or really anyone, yay anxiety, lately. She's also friends with Blake through me. I let her read the emails, and she got pretty ticked on my behalf, and then proceeded to drop a hell of a bombshell on me and Cam. Blake is apparently still in love with me and hates Cam's guts. Apparently when she drove to pick up Blake out of state for our wedding, because he was a groomsman, he confided in her and her husband that he didn't agree with the wedding and wished that I would break up with Cam and give him another chance. That we are soulmates and Cam is not the one for me. Blake has heard me talk since day one about how happy Cam makes me and how safe and loved I feel with him. My sister shut it down, but even better, Blake proceeded to do the same thing when she drove him back home after our wedding. He ended off just saying that he needed some time, so my sister kept her mouth shut because she knew that he's my best friend and hoped that she could trust him to resolve it over time since he lived far away. Blake then moved near me about a year ago, and Kaylee moved in the August after. My husband's and my wedding anniversary is in October, and apparently Blake called my sister's husband to again confide that he is still in love with me and wishes I would divorce Cam because he would be a better husband to me, while living with Kaylee, who he's told me is his soulmate. This was about when all the stress started, so she never found a good moment to bring it up. As if to ice the cake, Kaylee and I have been keeping up via text through all of this, because again, we're friends. During the past few weeks, I learned some odd things. Kaylee got new piercings, reportedly encouraged by Blake to do so because she would look so cute. A double nose piercing in septum, which, possibly coincidentally, Blake took me to get as a post-wedding gift 2 years ago. Blake apparently has beef with the month of August, and so has decided their anniversary will be in October. The reason that he gave was because it's spooky month, but Cam and I started dating and got married that month. I also, at my sister's prompt, went back and checked when Blake and I broke up. August 2017. Again, possibly coincidental, but feels very odd, as I don't know why else he would have an issue with that month. It's also worth noting Blake had another relationship fall apart because the girl was outright convinced Blake was cheating on her with me, to the point of blasting me for weeks as some homewrecker. Cam and I always chalked it up to her insecurity, but now I'm wondering if she was just watching Blake carry on some weird, one-sided emotional affair. I love my husband more than words can say, and he makes me happier than anyone I've ever met. He's my ultimate best friend. Learning all of this has made me feel so gross and like a horrible wife, though Cam has been wonderfully supportive and doesn't blame me at all. All this to say, I'm ending our friendship, but have no clue how. I feel like I have to tell Kaylee, as this has all happened during their relationship and living together, and the woman deserves the world. But I also recognize that I have no real proof beyond spoken accounts besides the weird emails. It sounds like some wild conspiracy theory or soap opera. My therapist is on vacation, so I'm on my own after learning all of this. I'm also realizing just how manipulative Blake has been for years, given this context. and already feel shaky about confronting him given my serious confrontation anxiety, which he knows about and could easily try to exploit. I'm realizing more and more that he has massive control issues that I dismissed as anxiety for years. The fact that he lives so close now fills me with dread rather than joy. I want to come out of this with no regrets, knowing I stood up for myself and that I put a decisive end to this. I want Blake to know his actions and creepy ulterior motives are the reason our decade-long friendship is dead. I've never ended a friendship myself, also a bit of an introvert, and this is basically friend breakup on steroids. How do I break this lunacy to Kaylee in a way that sounds remotely believable given the front that Blake has built? I also would love some advice on how to go about telling Blake I know everything and we are absolutely done. Additional info from OP. So, I'm working right now and not replying to other comments until later due to time constraints, but thought some clarifications could do well given this comment. 1. There is no sexual past. Blake and I did not sleep together. Again, this was only a 3-month relationship. Not everyone hooks up. The most we ever did was a kiss a few times upon visiting due to long distance, and again, this was 8 years ago. 2. This isn't the only friend I've briefly dated that I'm still in touch with. Hell, Cam actually does have close friends that he also dated back when he was in college for about 6 months as well. She and I are really close as well, and Cam and I are godparents to her child. Genuinely, both of us are very secure in our relationship and do not take issue with it. We are also both into all genders, so opposite sex doesn't really mean much to us for friendships. It's all just people. 3. My sister and I are in talks over this. I didn't feel it relevant to include in the post, but I will here. I let her know how upset I was over her keeping this from me, and she broke down apologizing for it and recognizes that she messed up. She also has severe anxiety and thought that it had resolved until the second time Blake reached out to her husband, during which time she was going through a lot herself personally. She was intending to tell me next time we spoke around the time I fell off communicating from the stress of it all. We're working through this separately. As for your summary, having gotten a restraining order on a different ex, it's not very easy to get one. I will definitely, if I have to, but jumping straight to that doesn't seem feasible. The cop scare tactic is definitely not a bad idea to keep in my pocket though. Thank you. As for your frankly polarizing view on myself and my marriage, I didn't come here to ask for advice or opinions on my marriage. My husband has been amazing and very adamant that I know that he is mad at Blake for being a creepy lying jerk and not me. He knows full well that I have eyes only for him and never once doubted that before nor after all of this. You can think whatever you want of me or my marriage, but I did want to throw that out there. The feeling like a truly terrible wife I mentioned is because I feel like I've been blind this whole time, especially as I fully acknowledge how cliché this all sounds. Whether that's true or not, I know my marriage is solid and secure, and I in no way spat in anyone's face. In the comments, Special Custard says, "It might not be safe to do this face to face. Let the friendship fizzle out. Do you have cameras or a security system in place?" He sounds insane, and none of what he has done so far is normal or healthy. So it's safe to say that going off his past behavior, that his response to ending the friendship will also be unhealthy and not normal. I agree with you though, that it needs to end. Just stay busy and tell him that you've had too much going on. Don't respond to that email anymore, and save it in case you need a paper trail. Both you and your husband need to be careful and be ready for him to ratchet up that crazy. Agreed. This is the kind of situation where ghosting would be more appropriate. Honestly, going through all the comments, the general consensus is that ghosting is the best way to approach this situation here. And some have mentioned it, but, I agree that it might not be, considering he's acting so insane. He lives very close. He knows where OP lives, and he is so interconnected with OP and her husband's social life. It just feels like you kind of do need to tackle this one head on in some way if you can. That's my feeling. I might have just destroyed the situation with my advice. Who knows? But I really feel like he wants a response, And if you ghost him, he's going to escalate his behavior and destroy a lot of things around you until he gets a response. So yeah, I think go to the police, get them to help you sort this out and get a paper trail, because this does not sound like it's going to end peacefully, that's for sure. And now, on to the update. Well, I was definitely not expecting to be making an update or follow-up post when I made my original. Admittedly, my original post blew up far more than I ever anticipated. I've made many posts on various accounts and subreddits over the years, including this one, and I typically get a handful of kind-hearted Redditors' input before it dies into obscurity. So this was definitely new to me. I am endlessly thankful to all of the wonderful people who offered comments of care, support, and advice. Some of the comments were so invaluable, and I can't thank you all enough. I did decide to delete the original post, largely to protect my peace, as it was surprisingly anxiety-inducing to have 500,000 views on one of the most surreal moments of my life, and partially as protection, as there were many specific details that could easily be identified if seen by someone who knows the details IRL. Now that that's aside, the update. I decided to talk to Kaylee after all. I asked to meet up, and treated her to coffee and pastries, and then disclosed everything I knew. She listened, even reaching over to hold my hand when she saw me shaking, and thanked me for telling her. In short, she has decided to stay with Blake for now, but is moving forward with this in mind, as is her right to decide. She wants to stay friends with me, and fully understands that I want nothing to do with Blake, and why, as well as not to share any information about me with him, and that there will be some distance for a bit. This is where y'all might yell at me, but I did confront Blake in person. This was mostly due to the fact that I wanted to get it out of the way right after talking to Kaylee without raising alarm bells, and meeting up under the guise of talking it out in person was the easiest way to do that. My husband went with me, though the conversation was just between Blake and myself. I took several safety precautions as well, such as secretly recording the interaction. Initially, Blake started in on classic Davo, saying he didn't remember saying those things to my sister, etc., and then remembered certain things, but in different contexts. He even tried spinning it back on me several times. I shut all of that down, as well as any excuses and justifications given, and firmly landed my point that regardless of intent or reasoning, his actions are wildly inappropriate and inexcusable. After dismantling enough of the excuses, he actually offered several apologies, owning up to his actions. Whether he meant them or not, I don't know nor care, but it was semi-cathartic for sure. He insists everything with Kaylee is coincidental, but either way, that is between them at this point. The conversation ended with him saying that he didn't want to lose our friendship, that he was willing to take a friendship break for a bit, establish better and firmer boundaries, that he feels he is in a better place to be more honest, that now he was aware of the issue and would pay more care in not breaking my boundaries. I shut him down, saying that ship sailed long ago and it shouldn't have had to take me saying I'm done for him to put effort into respecting me. He then said he'd respect my decision to end our friendship, but begged me to at least keep an open mind at possible future reconciliation. I was pretty much done at this point, and I told him flat out that these are the consequences of his own actions, that I can never trust anything he says or does ever again, and that even if, in some alternate universe, I was open to that, he would be an acquaintance, and certainly would never ever be my best or even close friend again. He went quiet and teary-eyed after this, I assume because he knew things were coming to a close. I stood up, and he asked me for one last hug. I said no, reached out to shake his hand, and left without looking back, which felt kinda badass, until I got down the block and round the corner and had the panic attack that had been looming all day. You win some, you lose some. Overall, I think this went as well as it could have. I'm not letting my guard down yet, just in case, but it's a relief that it finally, and seemingly, resolved. Admittedly, I'm not doing great, but I know that I'll be okay. Cam helped me realize I'm basically mourning the death of a decade-long friend, While Blake himself may not be dead, the Blake that I knew is, so I'm trying to give myself some grace in processing through this. Cam has decided tonight is reserved for tacos, cake, and video games together for some dopamine, and we're both calling into work tomorrow after this chaos. Thank you again to all of those who offered kindness and support on my last post. I don't think I would have nearly the confidence and composure that I had today if not for you all. May your pillow always be nice and cold, your food the perfect temperature, and your life full of joy and peace. In the comments, DeHeffy says, block him and don't look back. OP replies, I very much did. The funniest thing is that I was almost starting to feel like a little bad afterwards. He verbally acknowledged and took accountability for much of what happened by the end of the conversation, and while I wasn't regretting my decision, I was feeling a bit guilty for going scorched earth that fast and wondered if things could have improved had I not. Until I got an email this morning, because the jerk made a whole new email account to reach out to me because he figured that I blocked him, but he had some things to say. I opened it out of curiosity, and it's, I shit you not, 12 paragraphs about his side of the story, during which he tried to explain, Davo, gaslight it all away, said things he already admitted to and apologized for never actually happened, that he was never in love with me in the first place, so he wouldn't say that, etc. Everything directly counteracts every apology or admission of guilt during our recorded conversation. So I know damn well he's not actually sorry or remotely grown from that confrontation. Really reinforced my decision for me. Historical agent replies, don't be surprised if he starts to stalk you and or reaches out to friends about how worried he is about 1, your mental health, or 2, Cam's treatment of you. OP says, I'm not worried about these. At least the latter with reaching out to my friends. My friends know full well that our relationship is healthy as hell. Even my therapist has commented that it's one of the healthiest relationships she's ever seen, which is a nice little brag, not gonna lie, considering the crap that I've been through in life. And I genuinely think they'd reach out to me before putting any stock in anything he could think of. We're kinda the parent friends of our social circle. No kids, we just tend to love and care for our people, especially when in need. But regardless, I'm prepared if it does come to that, especially after that email. I'm in the mess around and find out stage. That was amazing. You know, it's not what you're going to want to do every time, confronting both the girlfriend and then him in person so directly, because it can go wrong. There's some unhinged people out there in the world, so that's not always going to be my advice. But they knew what he was like. They knew that he was not going to resort to immediate violence, and they were not going to be in danger by the sounds of it. So going straight to him, confronting him, shutting down all of his bullshit, and putting firm boundaries in place, saying, no, it's over, you're going to apologize for all the bullshit, we're not friends anymore, you stay the hell away from me and my husband, and you go sort your shit out, you are insane. I'd love to be like, everyone needs to do that every time they're in a situation like this. I know it's not realistic, but it would be amazing if it was possible to do, because people like this insane asshole deserve to be spoken down to and put in their place. Thank you for the story, OP. That was wonderful, and I hope you have a very happy life ahead of you with your amazing husband. Our next post is by a throwaway account, and it's titled, My 19 female, manager 25 male, had unlocked my phone and was recording a private video of me and my partner onto his phone, and I caught him. I work in a retail store with different departments. This involved the manager of my specific department. Today, he suggested that he, I, and the other colleague working our department go and help out on another department since we were finished for the time being and the other department was short-staffed. This was nothing new and happens a lot. We all went down there and worked together for a bit. He disappears, and I just assumed that he's just been called elsewhere and think nothing of it. I had left my phone to charge in the office, which I hadn't done before today. I was running very low though, and needed it to last. I did hide it, but I understand that it was stupid of me to leave it like that. I finish what I'm doing before I'm due back, but I head back anyway, and I go into the office to check my phone and find my manager with my phone in one hand, his phone in another. I had approached close enough as he noticed me to see that he had his video recorder running on his phone, but he managed to close my phone. His hands were shaking violently. For clarification, I didn't know that he knew my password. I asked why he was on my phone and what the hell he was doing. He claimed that he was just taking a picture of my Pokemon on my Pokemon Go to send to a friend on Snapchat, and I then asked why he would unlock my phone for that. Why didn't he just ask? And why were his hands shaking? He says that they aren't shaking, but they are, and really violently. I unlocked my phone, and he had closed the app, so it was on the home screen. So I looked at my open apps list, and there, open, was an extremely private video of me and my partner. I don't wish to elaborate, but I hope you can fill in the gaps. He had been recording this private video to his own phone. I freaked out and ran off to the staff area and to the toilets. By this point, I was crying hysterically, and a manager of another department had seen me run in there. She came to ask if I was okay and what was wrong. I said at the time I couldn't say. She said that was fine and to go home if I needed to. She suggested I get a drink and some fresh air. I went outside and my manager was out there. He pleads with me to talk to him that he's really sorry, trying to grab me, etc., etc. I told him to leave me alone and don't touch or talk to me, and walked outside to the car park as far as I could without leaving the site. He thankfully didn't follow me. I called my friend to pick me up, went back inside to collect my stuff, and I left. I called my boyfriend as soon as he got off work, and he urged me to call the store manager and report him. My friend is saying to do this too. I'm worried about reporting him because I feel like it'll destroy my friendships with other colleagues who are also good friends with him, and I don't want to do that. But I also know that I can't go back to work with him anymore. It feels like a lose-lose for me. I like my job, besides what happened today, and I don't want to lose it, but I feel like if I don't leave and report him, I'll be driven out. I'm sorry this is all so jumbled, but my head is a mess. I'm so worried and mortified and upset. He had texted me apologizing, saying he'd delete the video he took, but how do I know this? What if he took more than one video? What if he distributes this? That's not only damaging to me, but my poor partner too. What if I let him get away with it and he ends up doing it to someone else? I can't trust him. I don't know what to do. I feel so violated. My boyfriend is going as far as to suggest police. I don't want to do that, but I have to do something. Does anyone have any advice on how to go about this? Again, I'm sorry for how jumbled and ridiculous my words may sound, but I can't think straight. Thank you all. In the comments, Fitzwilliger says, "Your partner is right. You should report this, and you should take it to the police." OP says, "I have read all comments, which lead me to think that it's best to take it to the highest management first. And based on the outcome, I will decide whether to take it to the police. I'd like to avoid police if I'm able to, but I will if I need to. Thank you very much for your advice." Save the text from him admitting what he did. OP says, "I have taken a screenshot of it." OP replying to a deleted commenter that the stolen videos were for the manager's personal use, says, "You're right. As far as his intentions go, I would have guessed personal use. I probably should have mentioned this, but he had already told me before that he finds me attractive, but he seems to find everyone attractive. I hear him laughing with other colleagues about people they see who they find giggity." I know. I always found this quite disgusting and weird, especially since he actually has a fiancé and I have a boyfriend. But I knew it wasn't my place. Another colleague assured me that this is just him being him. I thought it better to just let it slide. I thought seeing as he had a fiancé, I was pretty safe, but I guess not. Should I have seen this sooner? I feel so stupid. But you're right. I don't trust him, and I don't know what he could do. I'll report to the store manager. Thank you for your advice. Edit. Hello everyone. I just woke up and it's the next day. I want to sincerely thank every one of you who commented and gave advice. I am eternally grateful. I have to go to work in about an hour, and I'm going straight to the store manager and/or HR and reporting this once I get there. Many of you are suggesting I go straight to the police as well, and I'm strongly considering it, as people have said he may still have traces of the video that I definitely want destroyed. I need to speak to my boyfriend first though, because I'm scared of dealing with the police on my own. So far, I'm definitely going to be seeing a manager though. I will post an edit at the end of it. Again, my deepest gratitude. I will try to respond to comments when I get some time. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I think this is definitely something you don't rug sweep, and it doesn't matter if they have a fiancé, that's still incredibly disgusting and creepy behavior. I can see why you would think that it's a reason to rug sweep, being like, well, he already has a partner, why would he want to do this? I don't know, people are just messed up. And it doesn't matter if they have everything they could ever need, they'll want more, and in more depraved, disgusting ways. Sorry that happened to you, OP, and I hope that this gets resolved. And now, onto the update. Hey everyone. First of all, big apologies for how long overdue this update is. Since the rules limit me for only one update, I wanted to have the most full outcome to give you. Thank you all so much for your help and support and advice. I didn't expect so many people to respond to me, and I really am grateful. Sadly, the outcome isn't so happy. My conclusion from the original post was to go to the highest management first and then police if the result wasn't satisfactory, which is what I did. I went straight to the store manager the morning after my post and was advised to write up and sign a formal grievance, which I did. I then met with the 2 other managers to discuss the details of what happened and any other relevant stuff. They told me they'd talk to the manager in question and any witnesses and get back to me in a week after the investigations had taken place. In the meantime, my manager was not allowed to work with me and was told to reschedule all of his shifts or work elsewhere. A week passed and I heard nothing. When I went to find out, apparently due to staff holidays, it couldn't be completed in time. I asked how much longer and was told a week. I felt this was too long and was really restless by this point already, and so my boyfriend came with me to speak to the police. We explained the situation and my details were taken down, and then we met with a sergeant. To summarize, she told us that in the UK there is no specific law against accessing someone's private phone and recording off of someone's private phone without permission, and as such, they are unable to search his phone as no arrests can be made. The only thing they could do was go to his house and explain that it had been reported and that if he ever distributed it, he would be arrested, which they did, and he lied to the police and said he hadn't done anything. Sadly, they said there was nothing more they could do. The internal investigation then concluded, and I was told my manager had denied everything, made up a false excuse for the apology text he sent me, and basically called me a liar. They told me that there is no CCTV where it happened, and nobody who was in the area at the time saw anything. No shit. They were the complete opposite end of the room, as I had already explained. They tried to say that they weren't taking sides, but to be honest, it seemed like they were. They are moving me from the department instead of him, because moving him is harder. I really enjoyed my job, and now basically I have to suffer because my manager is a disgusting liar. They don't seem to care how serious this is. I ended up almost crying when they legitimately said, maybe you didn't see anything at all. I feel like they're accusing me of lying and imagining it, even though one of the managers involved was the one that caught me in the corridor bawling my eyes out. I really wish I could have given a happy update. I'm so upset that I have to move and give up something that I enjoy when he gets off without even a slap on the wrist, goes on knowing he can probably do this again to someone else, and carry on being the scumbag he is. Not to mention, he might still have the videos. He may have distributed them already, but how the hell would I know? I have no idea what to do now. The police say nothing else can be done. If anyone has any legal advice around this issue within the UK law, then I would be very grateful for that. Sorry for the length, and if it's worded badly. Again, thank you all for your advice. I'm sorry this was a bad update. In the comments, Fecal Burning says, I don't know how it is in UK law, but because of the differences between the word sorry in the Commonwealths versus the states, sorry in the US is an admission of guilt, whereas sorry in Canada is also more commonly used as a funeral sorry. It may not be admissible as an apology. Yes, but he told her he deleted the video in one of these texts. That's pretty convincing. OP says, he told the managers that the reference in his text to deleting something was about something completely different. If I remember correctly, he made out like he was going to send a text to someone regarding my well-being or something. He made like I had confided something that I didn't want other people knowing and was mad he was going to tell other people. By the looks of it, they believed him. Giant Sucking Sound says, I know, it sucks because the guy always and in all cases deserves the benefit of the doubt. Sarcasm. Honestly, people almost always take the side of someone who has a higher rank and/or they know for a longer amount of time. Sadly, there doesn't seem to be any evidence to help OP. OP says, they actually said they were moving me instead of him because it was harder to move someone of a higher position. He's needed, and they'd have to reduce his pay, which would be unfair to him. That's such bullshit. A phone might be a telecommunications device, but these days, it's also a personal computer, and unauthorized access of a computer is a crime under the Computer Misuse Act in the UK. There's bound to be something they can do. OP says, the sergeant did say that she thought that it was ridiculous it wasn't specifically outlawed, but of course, she has to abide by the book. It might be worth mentioning the Misuse Act. And OP added more to a similar comment. The police have told me to come straight away if I ever found out it had been distributed. It's been reported, so they said they'd react to it quickly. I've considered asking his fiancée to check his phone, but I want to avoid dragging innocent parties in if I can. But it may be necessary. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful. I've applied for other jobs, and I'm hoping I'll hear back. Yeah, just a sad one, really, that laws haven't caught up to assist OP in a situation like this, because logically you think this is pretty straight cut. He should be fined, he should be fired, there should be consequences for his actions, but for some reason the world has not caught up for something that is so obvious. I don't know. It sucks and I'm sorry you're going through this, OP. I hope you get justice for this in the future. And, he deserves the worst. Thank you for the story. Am I the asshole for finally snapping at my ex's girlfriend after constant passive-aggressive comments? Hi Reddit. This happened earlier today, and I'm still kind of stewing over it, so I need to know if I overreacted or if it was justified. I, 29 female, was invited to a friend's barbecue. My ex Jake, 30 male, and I broke up about 2 years ago. It was mutual. We both agreed that we weren't right for each other long term, and since we share a close friend group, we've stayed civil and occasionally see each other at gatherings, and it's usually fine. Jake's been dating Sophie, 26 female, for about 6 months. I don't know her well, but every time we've been around each other, she seems to go out of her way to make little passive-aggressive jabs at me. Stuff like, wow, you're still single? That's brave. Or, must be nice having so much free time without kids. I've always let it slide to avoid drama. A bit more info. Even though we broke up, there's been multiple moments where it's obvious Jake isn't fully moved on. For one, he still finds excuses to text me random stuff, like sending memes or asking about old inside jokes we had. He'll accidentally bring up memories from when we were together when we were in a group, or mention songs and places that meant something to us. On top of that, a few mutual friends have let slip that he's told them he still has feelings, or at least isn't fully over our relationship. Nothing inappropriate while he's with Sophie, as far as I know, but it's clear there are lingering feelings there, and I think Sophie might sense it too, which is probably part of the reason that she's so weirdly hostile toward me. Back to the story. Today, Sophie was at it again. Every time I was within earshot, she would drop little digs like, some people just can't move on, huh? Or, guess it takes some people longer to grow up. I ignored it for hours. But then towards the end of the night, she made another comment, well, not everyone can handle being in a healthy relationship. And that was it for me. I turned to her and said, you're right, it takes a special kind of person to date a guy still hung up on his ex. It went dead silent. Sophie looked stunned. Jake looked beyond uncomfortable, and a couple of our friends awkwardly tried to change the subject. I left soon after because I didn't want things to get worse. She was making digs at me all night, and I finally stood up for myself. But part of me feels like I maybe went too far by throwing that in her face, even though it's true. I never planned to use what Jake had said and done like that, and now I wonder if I made it unnecessarily messy. So Reddit, am I the asshole for finally snapping at my ex's girlfriend after constant passive-aggressive comments? In the comments, Beautiful Term says, not the asshole. She effed around and found out. Also, if she's so happy in her new relationship, she wouldn't work so hard to bring another woman down. I don't think a healthy relationship involves one partner constantly making digs at their ex. Seems like you're a little obsessed there, sweetie. Well said. If she, Sophie, was so very happy, there wouldn't be a need for all of those comments. Not the asshole. She was asking for it. Good job for sticking up for yourself. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She kept pushing, and OP finally pushed back. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, but Jake wasn't asking for it, and she embarrassed him, probably more than the girlfriend. It doesn't say anywhere that Jake was aware of the snide comments, and from experience, people who act like this girlfriend are sneaky enough to fly under the radar of the person they're with. OP should have made a comment just about the girlfriend and left Jake and his feelings out of it. Now the whole friend group could be awkward depending on how Jake handles it. Like, I get where they're coming from, and I understand that this is one way to deal with a situation like that, but I really highly doubt these comments flew under the radar of Jake. I feel like he heard it, he understood the comments, and he chose not to say anything about it because he didn't want to cause a scene. I don't think the onus is on OP to look after his feelings in this situation when attacking the girlfriend. How come Jake's girlfriend doesn't have to think about the impact that her words have on Jake, but OP has to think about it? It's a two-way street. If you punch me, I'm punching you back. Equal rights, equal lefts. Jake gets caught in the crossfire because Jake didn't do anything to put his girlfriend in line before this to get her to stop the shit. Who cares if the whole friend group could be awkward depending on how Jake handles it? He had the chance himself to stop this from happening, and he didn't do it. OP can only take so much. I think there comes a point where you need to stop putting up with the constant passive-aggressive comments and defend yourself. Jake be damned. Not the asshole. And now, on to the update. Hey again, Reddit. Just wanted to post a quick update since a lot happened. Well, I'm still kinda processing it, but it feels worth sharing. So after I left the barbecue and posted, I got a flurry of texts from mutual friends, mostly along the lines of, damn, that was awkward but also overdue. Apparently everyone noticed Sophie's digs throughout the day, and more than one person told me they were surprised I lasted as long as I did before finally saying something. Jake, for what it's worth, hasn't said a single word to me. Not an apology, not a, hey, that was a lot. Nothing. Radio silence. But I did get a very long, very dramatic message from Sophie last night, basically accusing me of trying to sabotage her relationship and calling me emotionally manipulative. I didn't respond. I don't see the point, especially because here's the kicker. I've actually been seeing someone for a few months now. His name's Daniel. He's thoughtful, mature, low drama, and most importantly, not still caught up on an ex. We've been keeping things fairly private while we found our footing, but last night, after the total chaos of the barbecue, I posted a picture of us to the friend group chat. Just us smiling at a coffee shop. Totally normal. Within the hour, Sophie left the chat. Make of that what you will. Anyway, Daniel has been incredibly supportive about everything, and honestly, I think seeing that photo and realizing that I've 100% moved on was the final crack in whatever illusion Sophie was holding on to. One of our mutuals mentioned that things were not going well between her and Jake, which, yeah, that tracks. So yeah, I don't feel bad about what I said anymore. Maybe I could have been softer, but sometimes the truth is sharp and people don't like how it feels. Thanks again for all of the responses. Reading through the comments really helped me feel like I wasn't just being petty or reactive. I'm good now. Actually, I'm better than good. And Daniel brings me coffee and emotional security. So that's a win. In the comments, Lyndon Lil Blue Balls says, when people make passive-aggressive digs, I always feign ignorance and ask them to explain like I'm an idiot. Or drop the old faithful, what an odd thing for an adult to say. 100%. I don't understand. Can you explain the joke to me? Sophie convinced herself that she won and based her entire relationship off of it. Now that she realizes there's no one to compete with, and there never was, she's left trying to find an excuse to continue the relationship with Jake. No, it's actually worse. She lost to someone who's not even trying to win. She lost to someone that wasn't even playing and had no idea that there was an option to play. Yeah, just sad, pathetic behavior all around from her. I hope she finds some happiness in her sad and pathetic life, but doesn't really sound like she will. Best of luck to her finding that in the future. Like, what a stupid and dramatic waste of time. She embarrassed herself and she embarrassed Jake, and at the end of the day, did she even want to be with Jake? Or did she just want to be in competition with someone? That's like real psycho behavior right there. Anyway, thank you for the story, OP. Sorry that happened, but hope you're doing better now. Am I the asshole here? I broke up with a heart surgeon boyfriend over his mum's comments on me being a nurse. I'm 27 female, and I am a nurse. I make a good salary as a private nurse for a firm which provides care for rich families. 6 figures in my country, not the USA. I'm proud of my career. I wanted to be a doctor when I was a teenager, but it wasn't possible for my family to provide me medical education, and at the time, I felt some self-hate being a nurse. But by age 20, I became a nurse. Now I love it. This job has made it possible for me to buy my own house, car, and travel outside the country. I have a good pension plan and other savings, and I can raise a family on my own income. I have or had a boyfriend, let's call him Rob, 28 male, who was into the heart specialty, and we fell in love during hospital visits. He was the one to pursue me. He is going to be a heart surgeon. His mum always made passive-aggressive comments about me being a nurse. We got engaged recently, and all of his relatives were at our family dinner party held by Rob's parents last week. So his mum and aunts at the dinner table joked around that a heart surgeon like Rob can get any female doctor that he wanted as a wife. Rob took offense and said Nia, me, is very much independent and makes a good salary herself to take care of a whole family. But his mum went on. I have had enough. I have respect for housewives, but this time I fired back. I said his mum and aunts are all gold-digging housewives with no life skills outside of raising kids. They live on their husband's money who are rich, and some of them started crying. Then they started shouting. Everyone, including Rob, asked me to apologize. I broke up on the spot and said I will not sell my self-respect to his family. I said I'd rather marry a normal man than a surgeon whose family doesn't respect me. I left, and now Rob is begging for a second chance. I know he tried to silence his mum, but I don't see a future with him. I see a lifetime of taunts, and I can't ask him to cut off his parents, which he won't do anyways. My parents are saying that he's a good catch and just to ignore his mum's comment. But money isn't everything, and social status isn't everything. I don't want to be looked down upon, but I miss him and it's breaking my heart. Edit to add, he's tried to stop their comments whenever I told him that it bothered me. He said to try to ignore them, and when he tried arguing with them, they said that they're just joking and he shouldn't disrespect his elders. Also, after marriage, we would have shifted to a house next door. I would never have peace in my life, I realized. He would never cut them off, nor would I force anyone. It's better to end things. In the comments, Llama Drama Queen says, so let me get this straight. His mum thinks he can do better than a 6-figure earning nurse? Maybe she should consider applying for the role of family drama queen instead. OP replies, I don't want to boast, but I make on par, and maybe even better than some non-surgery doctors. But I am a nurse, and that is what bothers her. Screw her. Be proud of yourself. You should be. Don't let anyone bring you down. And that's all this family will probably do if you continue this relationship. I think you made the right choice. Stand your ground, choose you, good luck. Impossible Nebula says, even if he married a doctor, she would still have a problem, because at the core, she is driven by jealousy because look at how easily you walked away because you yourself are very successful and don't need to beg for scraps from anyone. Your head is held up high. Meanwhile, she couldn't do the same because her life depends on a man and his money. You're above these people. Choose yourself. Girl, you chose you, and I respect that. Like, yeah, love is cute and all, but not when it comes with a side of disrespect from the in-laws buffet. You don't sign up for a lifetime of microaggressions just to be someone's respectable nurse wife when you're already out here thriving. His mum is acting like you're some peasant for not being a doctor, meanwhile you're out here making 6 figures, traveling and owning property. Be serious. And Rob might be a sweetheart, but if he can't put his mum on mute when she's coming for your whole existence, then what's the point? You didn't lose a heart surgeon. You dodged a future group chat full of backhanded compliments and "when are you going back to school?" vibes. You're the prize. You always were. Keep the crown on. I feel like that comment is just reiterating what OP said in their edit to ad. OP realizes that he's never going to stop them from attacking you. He is incapable of standing up for himself, incapable of standing up for you, and he doesn't want to. He values his current, immediate family more than he values the potential future family that he can build with you. That shows where his priorities are at, and I believe him when he shows who he really is, especially in these more minor conflicts now. If he's not going to back you up on these ones where it's much easier to back you up, that tells me he's not going to be there for you in the future, and you know that. You've said as much in the post. There's no point pursuing a relationship with him if he's going to allow you to be abused and belittled by his family who have no right to say what they're saying. It's disgusting behavior, and he should be clamping down on it, but he's not. I don't blame you for leaving. You can do better and you deserve better, not the asshole. And now, on to the update. Hi, I deleted my old account as I didn't want to continue posting, but most comments gave me some sense, and I'm thankful. Rob and I met a few days after that event after I made the original post. He came to my place to discuss. My brother was there, but I sent him to the other room before Rob came in, and he didn't know that my brother was there. I just wanted to be safe. He cried and I cried too. But I told him the only way that it's possible for me to get with him is that we have to shift far from his parents and limit contact from my side with his family and our future kids. He said that it isn't possible, and his family will be a great support system for us. He told me that he'll make huge amounts of money and I can continue part-time when we have kids, as he will pay me around my salary to spend. That's such a good idea. Wow, he sounds like a really brilliant person to continue a relationship with, because there's no way that can go wrong. Of course. My independence is something I value, and I refused. I told him that his mother will not raise my kids, and I will not leave my job. He got angry, and our discussion became heated. And in anger, he slapped me hard and literally ripped my shirt when he held my arm. I'm a 5'9" woman, but a 6' muscular man made me realize how weak I felt physically at that moment. I called my brother out, and when he saw my blood from my nose and ripped shirt, he lost it and beat Rob to a pulp, so much so that I had to stop him. In the end, we called his family and the police got involved. It was decided that he won't press charges if I don't because it'll ruin his career, and I also wanted no trouble for my brother. But I have a restraining order in process. The relationship is all over. My love went to zero with that slap of his. His mother begged me not to file charges. Anyway, thanks Reddit for opening my eyes. I never knew my ex was like this before this incident because he never raised a hand at me. If my brother wasn't there, I don't know what could have happened to me. I got a camera installed a couple of days back, though I will sell this house and buy a house in my parents' neighborhood. This is a finished chapter of my life, and I will not date someone for months. I'm going on a 3-week trip to Europe this summer, and I want to heal my heart and soul. This is my final update. Thank you. In the comments, Careless Image 885 says, "Not the asshole. Thank heavens you found out how abusive he is. I'm sorry that you were injured. You should file charges, go scorched earth, tell him that he can thank his mother." Ironically, his mother not shutting the hell up about OP being a nurse is a blessing in disguise in so many ways. And OP should file charges, because if he can slap her so easily while knowing a male relative was nearby, he'll definitely do it to his patients and or another girlfriend or girlfriends. I wish your brother hadn't beaten him up, because your ex deserved criminal charges that would ruin his life. I'm happy that you've left him though. You made the right choice, OP. A slap is one too much. Thank God your brother was there to protect you from more harm. Just make sure that you gather enough evidence about the slap, etc., just in case you need to press charges later. I hope that Rob has no power on your career. Take good care of yourself. Big hugs from Europe. I don't know enough about how the legal system works where OP is, but I think it's a damn shame that he can lay his hands on her and then get beaten the shit out of, rightfully so, and that would nullify any chance of OP getting to send him to jail? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you physically assaulted me, but because someone retaliated and defended me, that means you can't get in trouble anymore. I don't know if that's how the law works. I'd love someone to explain a possible situation in which this can occur. And yeah, in some way, it was a blessing in disguise that OP's potential future mother-in-law was such a horrendous and disgusting human being that it got her to a place of leaving the relationship before further physical and mental and emotional escalation of abuse by OP's partner could happen. But it still happened, and life isn't fair. And I'm glad she's out of there and, can keep a good amount of distance from him. But I would think this is going to affect her career. His abuse and his power over her in the medical system, you'd think it really would have some effect. He's going to be able to retaliate, even though he's the one that caused this. It's sad. It's all too real. It highlights some injustices in the world that you can be done wrong by and be punished. I hate that for you, OP. I hope you're able to protect yourself from what's to come here. But I wouldn't be surprised if things get a lot worse. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I hope things genuinely do get better in the future.